Hi, Chad. Welcome in. Oh, Brainy, welcome. Boops, welcome. Shearus, welcome. Harlequin, welcome. Tingo, welcome. You gave me a oh my god, you did give me a timer. Hold on. Oh, oh yeah, I had it. I wasn't planning on talking yet. Yeah. Hi. Tape Tool's helpful. Tape Tools is helpful. Yeah, I was going to be live a lot earlier today and also spend some time today working on like stream setup stuff. And instead I just was trying to figure out how to get to the States for Offkai. Want to see something gross? Why not? Why not? Hi, Polka Dog. Yeah, I had like a $900 flight, which was still like more than I wanted to spend, but like
All you need to do is send
well,
in a donation. $5, $20, whatever you
Polka
can
Dog,
spend.
thank you for the tier 3 for 49 months. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. That makes the $1,500 flight sting a little bit less. Um, yeah, so well, I had a flight figured out, right? And it was like $900, and then I got an email being like, haha, just kidding, your flight no longer exists. And I was like, oh, that's cool. um so I tried to rebook the same flight, and it was like, we can't book this flight because some blah 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 somebody. So I did some research on it, and apparently it's like because of phantom availability or something. I don't know. But then, I'm only a couple weeks out now from Offkai, so if I wait any longer than now, it's just going to be ridiculously expensive. Um, yup. Brainy's cookie is human evolution, wider freeway, but narrower viewpoints. What? Wow, that's so deep. You always know the right times to be assertive or to simply wait. Good job, Tinko. I was supposed to be leaving Seattle in 15 minutes, but I changed to 7 p.m. for $175. Yeah, and that was the thing that I like so much about my first flight too. Like this newer flight that's more expensive. It's not only is it more expensive, but like it's the only thing better about it is that it leaves later in the day. Rather than leaving at like 8 o'clock in the morning or something, it leaves at like 11 or so. So I get a more relaxed morning. But instead of getting in at like, I think it was like 7 p.m., I now get into San Jose at like almost midnight. So like my day zero is, I don't get to do my badge pickup. I don't get to do anything like that. I'm just yippee. Guess I'm gonna be maybe going to a party, but probably just going to bed, which is fine, which is totally fine. But you know, Fuzzy, thank you for the 65 stream streak, dude. The biggest annoyance is the fact that it's a shittier flight for hundreds of dollars more expensive than I wanted to pay. So that's kind of a bummer. And like, it's not the end of the world, but any plans to roam around from Luxembourg? Yeah, so we we are going to go to the UK. Um, we're gonna go to the UK. That was a whole fucking process because you do need an ETA to travel into the UK now, which is super easy and fine, but it is also a bit confusing and treacherous because there's all sorts of like dummy apps and websites and stuff trying to get you to be like, hey, do your ETA over here. So trying to figure out what the real one is. It was a 15 quid or something. Yeah, it's not bad. Um, but welcome in, Anger. Good to see you. Welcome, dude. Yeah, it was very home at 1 p.m. or 11 p.m. Easy choice, to be honest. Easy choice, though, yeah. Yeah. You should get mine done before Vexpo. It takes, well, at least for me, it took like 30 seconds after I had submitted it. Is that the same as the ESTA? I think so. It's pretty much the same. It's just an electronic travel uh, something. So it's purely them just, yeah, it's not bad. But like, I just, it's been, I've really really enjoyed this part of the trip, but it's been kind of like there haven't been great opportunities for Gato to sneak away. Because like even today, I wanted to play Mecha Chameleon or Mecha Chameleon, which we may still end up doing. I don't know. We may magic some people together and play some Mecha Chameleon. I don't know. But something came up and Gato had to run off for the day. But between some other family stuff that she had to be around for and blah 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 blah, it's like, well, now I have the opportunity to travel with Gato, and we pretty much have like 2 weeks to do it. So like, I got it downloaded. If you need a person, mayhaps. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go to the UK for a couple days and uh, hopefully hang out with some people. Definitely hang out with Red. And I'm really looking forward to that because it's just another place that I haven't been. I really had wanted to make it to like Italy as well, possibly, or even wander around some more. But um, I don't know. I just, especially with the whole lack of gainful employment thing, I just really don't want. I just don't want to hemorrhage a bunch of money. And it's pretty easy for, so like, I like traveling like with a lot of flexibility. I like going somewhere and being like, okay, I'll get a 50 euro hostel for the night or whatever, or even less, honestly, or like, I don't know how I'm gonna get from point A to point B, but I'll figure it out. And like whatever way makes sense, I'll just go with the flow. Gato Gato does not want to travel like that. And I totally understand that. I totally get it. But it means that I have to be respectful of Gato's preferences. Otherwise, I will have a very displeased Gato along for the journey, which is just not it's just not a good plan. It's not a good plan. So my little sister's fiance, it took like 2 weeks a couple months ago. Holy shit, that's crazy. Yeah, you should definitely do it now then. Mine was in 2019. Yeah. It's good for what, like 2 years, I think? Something like that. Something like that. But, like, also, what I didn't expect is for Europe to be repeatedly getting fucked by heat waves. We were actually thinking about going to the UK this week, but if you check the fucking weather, in it's more hot in London right now than it is where I'm at. Like, it's so cold right now in here. I'm making a detour over to hang out with Brainy. Actually close the window. It is like actually kind of warm outside, and I have the windows open for like just straight up airflow because at least that makes me feel better. We can get some cola on tap. That actually sounds amazing. 13 Celsius here at the moment. Well, in the UK, it's like 31 or some shit. So like Gato and I were looking at the forecast and we were like, yeah, maybe we will just not go to the UK this week. $2 and you get half a liter. Gonna be 27°C on Saturday. What the fuck? 32 degrees Celsius here. Yeah, but you're sitting in your fucking air conditioning. Speaking of air conditioning, even though he just stepped away, Anger ordered the rest of the AC for the shop. And I'm very interested to see that whole situation get figured. I think the framing and stuff is going to start here before too long. And so we're going to see like livability things start popping into the shop. It's going to be neat. 20°C here, rainy. Let me see what it is here right now. It's supposedly 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Hold on, let me look. Nita, welcome in. Yeah, it's a high of 31 here today. It's already cooled off a tiny bit. The fuck is a foreign high? What do you mean? What brings that up? Oh, Fahrenheit, you fuck. Hatu, welcome in. Your daily cookie. You try everything once, even the things you don't think you will like. I feel like it's a good policy, unless it's just obviously downright unhealthy. Somebody offers you like heroin, maybe don't try heroin at least once. I'm with you. Wow. Jork, it was 41°C here yesterday. Yeah, no, they were listen, Jork, they were saying that it was. I'm in Luxembourg right now, and they were saying that there was a chance, there was an outlier projected forecast a couple weeks ago that was saying that we were going to see like 42, 43 here in Luxembourg, and I was just like, yeah, I'm either finding somewhere that has AC or like traveling somewhere that is not actually fucking miserable. Jork, do you have AC? Because 41 with somewhere that you have AC to go hide in, perfectly fine. Bro, when you have like, when you're getting cooked for days at a time, it's like changed my perspective on acceptable living conditions, bro. Wangler, good to see you. Welcome in, dude. Plan your work and work your plan. Damn. Not a temperature to be jorking it. Yes, fortunately I do. See, I'm missing my mini split that's in my room back at home. Next week seems like 31°C here. Yeah, there's like another heat wave coming through or something. I don't know. Go in the car, blast that AC. No, like that's Hatu. Genuinely, while we were going through, because there was like, not to just yap about how hot it was here, but for the people that missed it, like one of the weeks that I was here, it was like there was a high of I think 40-ish, I think, maybe even 41, and it was like sustained heat for days. Like it was like 37, 37, 38, 39, 40, 37, like that. And so like you never, and it was warm in the evenings too. And like you never cool down. And that shit just cooks you alive, man. You end up feeling like, I felt like actually cooked. I couldn't fucking think. So it gets crazy, because that's definitely something that I didn't really consider all that. Like obviously I'm sort of aware of it, but like you don't really stop and think about the fact that like even at night, if it doesn't cool off enough, like you literally just cook. So Ghost, welcome in. How am I doing today? I'm fantastic. How are you? I remembered midway through my flight booking induced rage, I realized that I had not had caffeine yet today, and I took some Excedrin that I smuggled into
The Battle of
into
York is
Europe.
now following.
Oh, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Pollination. I took some of the Excedrin that I smuggled into Europe, and I'm feeling so much better. But yeah, I was not only was I looking for flights that were way too expensive, but I had a caffeine withdrawal headache, and I was just like, I even because Gato's out doing whatever Gato needed to run out and do. Um, I even DM Gato, and I was like, I'm just straight up like, I'm just grumpy right now. I'm just angry. So sounds like you're enjoying a typical Aussie summer. Actually, it's been like kind of pleasant here. Not kind of. It's been pleasant here the past couple days. It's been a little bit warm, but like perfectly fine. Prison pocket Excedrin? Hell no, dude. I went to the CVS while I was at FazeCon, and I bought a 200 count Excedrin bottle, and I brought that shit with me, and it has been wonderful. Shared grumpiness is great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like extra, not to be like, "Well, I'm dropping the knowledge on you guys or whatever, but like, I think that's just a good like life, uh, a good thing to understand in life is that you should probably just communicate your grumpiness to the people around you, so that hopefully they're mature enough to be like, yeah, he's going through it right now. don't hold it in. Um, am I headed back to the States? Not quite yet, but what the title is about is I had a flight booked, and it got poofed into oblivion, and I had to rebook, and now I'm on an more expensive, shittier flight at the end of this month to go to Offkai. So I'll be back. I'll be back at the end of this month. I will be heading home. I like around I think the 27th. So we need to hang out when I get back. Title says he's fine. Yeah, bro, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Thank you for the 10 stream streak, dude. Except we're currently in winter. Would you send some winter our way, please? But Christmas is beach and pool weather? That's so crazy. I mean, sometimes, listen, sometimes Christmas is beach and pool weather for me too. It just depends. Blue Roses, it's good to see you. Live each day well and wisely. Yes. But no, I probably no joke, I probably spent like 6 hours today combing over flights, trying to come up with a plan. I was even like, Chad, I was even like, maybe I can like fly into like Seattle or Portland or LAX or something, and I can just make it an adventure. Maybe I can just like, you know, I leave like a day or two early, and then I was like, well, I don't really want to leave a day or two early just to go on like a super expensive road trip, because booking a rental car to go like one way from, like, say if I was to go to like Seattle down to the Bay Area, it would be I, I I was looking earlier, and I was seeing prices anywhere from like $500 to like $1,200, and that's not counting gas, and that's not counting where I'm gonna sleep, and like it would be kind of cool to turn that into a trip, and I haven't done that little part of the coast over there, so it would be like, it's somewhere that I do want to drive, but like right now it's just not. It's not the move. I don't want to burn like several thousand extra dollars just to avoid spending 600 extra dollars on a flight. So, Namaria, welcome. How are you? Hot too. I don't think we have any of the like random dice rolling or gamble bots enabled. We just have the command. Get it twisted, bro. I don't know. All I know is I'm looking forward to going to the UK. I hope that we manage to coordinate with some people, and it's not going to be the longest trip ever, but it should be a good time. Has anybody been to London before? Is there any, like, I shouldn't miss this kind of things? Welcome back, Anger. What are those points for, though? Yeah, miss the knife. I'll try to not get stabbed, bro. You should miss the knives. Okay, well, everybody is just telling me to not get stabbed. At this point, if I don't see a knife while I'm in London, I'm going to be disappointed. So... the moment that I hit calibrate on the meow 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 meow, the moment that I hit calibrate on my iPhone, Gato got back and started meowing at me. Matter Catamite now, yeah. Yeah, I'm hitting up a bunch of people that are there. Hopefully we can see some people for like dinners and stuff. Ba 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 ba. Gato. Meow. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hi. You wanna say hi?
Hello.
Oh god. AC's being packed for shipping? Hell yeah.
Meow.
Highly, I love you.
Meow. Meow.
Why would you just hit Sheena with cheese? That's crazy. You brought home food? Okay. Yeah. Should I eat it now or is it
No, you can reheat it later.
be okay? What is it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's pork cutlet.
Oh.
Rice.
Oh.
They'll make cucumber salad.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
I'll eat it now.
Oh, fine, be that way. Frick you too. Dude with pepper jack and onion rings. I want onion rings, bro. I haven't had onion rings in a minute. Yeah, no, the AC, that's fucking awesome, dude. I'm glad it's getting packed up. Are you still looking at framing starting in the next couple weeks?
All
Let
you
us
need to
smoke.
do is
Gato,
send
thank you for the
a
resub.
donation. $5, $20, whatever you can
The tier 2 resub. Wednesday, just as a heads up, hopefully I will be, okay, here's my plan. I'm like, comes to own a home to give you money. It's crazy. It really is genuinely crazy. Wednesday, probably just after 9 p.m. local time, we're going to jump into jet lag. And I think I'm gonna get some new bingo stuff set up for it, and I might like do a little bit of a drinking stream / bingo because I got spoiled on. I'm gonna keep Drunk Ben on the bingo card, but to in solidarity, considering that we now know that Drunk Ben is going to happen, I might do some drunk bingo along with the jet lag stuff. So I'm going to be live hopefully a bit earlier. Although, I don't know. I need to check with Gato because I feel like something came up. No, that's tomorrow. Did I ask for permission to drink? I haven't yet, but considering that Gato's mom gave me alcohol at one point, like, I feel like I'm good. But I think I have something going on tomorrow. I think Wednesday I'm good, so I can pretty much commit to that. So I'll try to be live earlier on Wednesday, or I will be live earlier on Wednesday. Tomorrow evening? Okay. Hospitality does not equal permission. What the fuck? That's basically telling you that they want to see you completely wasted. Mother Gato did give beer to Obel. Yes. Lida, can our B drink? Lida, do I have permission to have some drinks while I play Drunk Mingo on Wednesday? I judged them both. Listen, it's not like it was that much. I guess you can't drink. I guess not. Trying to get a funnel and a plastic hose. Yeah. What beer? It was like some raspberry something. I forget what kind it was, but it was pretty tasty. Oh yeah, Hogarden. On Saturday, we recreated the tasty drink from the Hoff. Got pretty close. Which one? Lita, I think it was a 165 stream streak. The Sin? Oh, nice. Bro, yesterday the tournament, I won cider. Well, that's pretty cool. Like a magic tournament? And the prize was like, what kind of tournament? A cider tournament? Like, I need more context. Try winning a Black Lotus instead, buddy. I feel like was it a popper tournament, Tinko? What format was it? Because I don't think they're going to be giving away a Black Lotus for a popper tournament. Also store credit, but top 8 got cider. Wicked. Hell yeah. Popper. I love that format's thriving where you're at. Actually, how much did the gold border Black Lotuses go for? Black Lotus gold border. Next week we have Poppergeddon and Luca. What are the dates on that? You got some news for me? What's the news? What's going on? What's planned for today besides injecting fuel? I mean, if we have people, I'm totally down to play some Mecha Chameleon. We had kind of soft talked about doing that last time, but then today just ended up being very different than what I thought today was going to be, which is fine. 2.8K. Oh, it actually is. I thought you were kidding me. Like I thought you were fucking with me because it's, dude, why has it gone up so much recently? What is this? What is wrong with people, bro? One just sold for 11,000. Drunk Mecha. Well, I'm not drinking tonight. Takes around 2 hours to get to me from how the fuck do I pronounce Katowice Airport. Are you telling me to come visit, Brainy? Because I can take a day and do that. You can butcher that. It's Polish. Also a great vid again. Whoa. Hold on. What is this? Interesting. So if we don't do Mecha Chameleon, I'm thinking maybe just some more Forza or something. Because I had a good time playing Forza last stream. Gold border cards went up because they're legal in what the fuck, bro? How are gold border cards legal in any format? Wasn't that the whole point? P9 is not legal in the format. Then why did the price go up? Okay, let me look up. What is this, Anger? What am I looking at? Hold on, let me
So there is one card that would be practically too difficult to try to upgrade, and that's Black Lotus, Magic's most
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
iconic card. I was able to track down these 12 raw alpha copies back in the day for the folder,
What the
but to
fuck?
upgrade them now would involve paying modern prices and
Hi, Block,
cracking
sorry.
slabs, and I do have a couple of really nice slab lotuses. I graded one of these myself, but I'm going to leave them in the slabs. I just can't justify cracking this in order to slightly upgrade one of the copies in the folder. Like other sets, I also have a bunch of loose alpha cards. These are ones that have previously been in the folders in part of the 12 sets, but
Hi,
have been kept
Cognac.
out as I've gradually upgraded
What am I-
stuff. You know, you can see there's a lot of damage on these moxes, which is why they're not folded, because they're nowhere. So there is one card that would be practically too difficult to try to upgrade, and that's Black Lotus, Magic's most iconic card. I was able to track down these 12 raw
This whole video is absurd, by the way. Has anybody calculated how much money this is? He never talks about money in any vid. Yeah, but like somebody in the comments. That's absurd. Like aren't like even pretty poor condition lotuses worth like tens of thousands of dollars? Aren't graded 9 lotuses worth like 100K, 80K, something like that? Those are over 20K each. That is silly. That is silly. Imagine you look through a binder and then 12 Black Lotuses. Yeah, right. Like that. I think that's everybody's like garage sale or thrift shop dream, is like they come across somebody's old collection that they've had just like shoved into a closet somewhere, and they turn one of the pages and it looks like this. He's trying to collect every printing in every language of basic lands. That's too many lands. That's too many lands. Zao, welcome in, dude. That is too many lands, including all the misprints. Bro, how could you even get all the misprints? Do we even have a catalog of all of the misprints? All right, clowns, tonight we're still in this dude's card collection. I feel like this is in a fucking vault. Like, it better be. It better not just be hanging out in this dude's house. He better have it in like some kind of like bank vault. Like, genuinely needs to have like fire suppression system and everything installed in whatever room this thing exists in. Yeah, he has a dedicated vault space fully insured just for cards. Who is this? I feel like I should recognize the name Chris Wilson, but like who the fuck? I guess it's more like the common known misprints where they're like printed the wrong symbol. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Path of Exile 2, dude? What, like literally the guy that like the John Path of Exile? The GGG guy. Okay. John Exile. Yeah, bro. No Wang. You weren't here for whenever I played Forza, but I picked John as my I picked John as the name that it actually like says in Forza for me. Literally him. That's crazy. So I could email Chris Wilson and be like, "Hey, I have this sick misprint forest from, Urza's Saga." And he'd be like, "Well, I gotta buy it. I gotta buy it, bro." You picked Turnip? That's also amazing. I set Forza to call me Home Slice. Oh my god. He even has matching miscunts. Oh my god, I can't talk. He even has matching miscuts since it may have a land appear in the offcut. Wait. Imagine if this dude was poor but had the same kind of autism. How tortured his existence would be. But because he's absurdly wealthy and has this kind of autism, he can be like, "Ah, yes, I'm going to collect every land that there ever was." And he gets to scratch that itch. Like, seriously, imagine how tortured he would be If he was like, all right, my budget is like every modern land. Death, man. Autism, I feel at home. A lot of us do, bro. A single nice cock. Imagine. He should rename to Ash Ketchum because you got to catch them all. Yeah. Yeah, the other link is misprints, miscuts. Oh, I missed it. Hold on. Here we go. Can you guys even hear this guy? No, you can't. Hold on. Hold on. Have audio. I swear, dude, streaming on Mac is so goofy sometimes, man. It does like the most bizarre stuff. Can y'all hear the video right now? I don't see you guys with audio. No, okay. Well, it's paused. No, well, obviously not when it's paused, bro. Hold on. Why are you like this? Seriously? Okay. Sometimes we could hear it before you paused, but now it worked in that window when it was playing. So right now? Because I don't see you guys with any audio. I'm in some other window. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, I am. All right, hold on. Here we go. Listen, it's hard to keep track of whenever you only have one monitor. Or effectively one monitor.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson.
Okay.
Over the last few months, I've been making videos about game development and my experience from 17 years developing Path of Exile. But the emails I get from my fans also...
It works fine. No, seriously, Mac just sometimes it does pick things. I thought it was doing what it was doing to Tangia the other day, where the Tangia like application, it will not latch on to the executable to pull audio from it. So I have to use the browser source audio for my Tangia audio. It's really goofy and convoluted. Hold.
all say, show us your Magic the Gathering cards. People in the Magic card community know me for my collection of original limited edition Alpha cards. But as much as I love Alpha,
yeah,
the cards that excite me the most are my land collection, which I've been working on for 22 years.
Desktop.
And today, I'm going to show you a specific part of it.
It's really kind of bizarre, man.
In Magic the Gathering, land cards are ones that can be tapped to yield mana, a resource that you use to cast your spells. Almost every deck needs lands, making the good ones really sought after. I personally find the artwork and abilities of lands far more interesting than the entire rest of the game. So one way I can show you my land collection is like this.
Oh, those
basically
are so
going
pretty.
through every single printing of every land card, in every language,
God.
in every edition,
Oh
in every
my
treatment.
God.
But I decided I'd rather start somewhere with a lot more story behind it, and that's the area of misprints and test prints. So let's start with misprints. What is a misprinted card? Well, if you've never opened a booster pack of Magic the Gathering before, I'll show you what the experience is meant to be like.
What? what set is this? Okay, that's what I. So wait. Isn't just this booster pack thousands of dollars? I'm pretty sure that these are like. Yeah, I was about to say I'm pretty sure that these are like tens of thousands of dollars. Bro flexing his beta booster on us. Yeah, listen, you can like never talk about money. That's fine. But if you're just like, hey, I'm gonna just casually fucking use scissors to open up a beta pack, whatever, bro.
As you can see, there's a very consistent level of card and print quality. The cards here are all well centered, they've got good surface, they're printed correctly. This is not the case for a lot of modern Magic cards. For example, if you opened a booster pack and you received one of these cards out of it, you'd probably be asking for your money back. But before you do so, it's important to understand that because these are a 1 in a million print error, they can actually be very valuable, and that's what misprints are, and I'd like to show you some today.
I feel like crimps and misprints
Sometimes
are
the
just
misprints are rather
such an
subtle.
insane
For example,
market.
these are two printings of the same card, one of which is too light and one of which
It's because wasn't there like a whole nother video that we watched that was about how like somebody basically learned how to reproduce crimp Pokemon cards, and they've been flooding the market with I mean fake crimped Pokemon cards. Some misprints these days are so common. Yeah.
one of which is too dark. The actual card would sit between those two. This is a misprint that's consistent across all printings of the card. This is a German forest, but it has the art for planes, and every time you find that card in that set, it's the
That's
same.
cool.
It's not so much a printing error as the card was printed, but when the sheet that was printed was designed by the developers. This one's a bit more subtle, but basically some cards have this authentication stamp at the bottom of them. This particular swamp doesn't, but in this case it's printed at the top. This is probably because the sheet was put in backwards
That's
into
cool.
the printer and another card's stamp was printed in that position. Here's a card that has some water damage. Basically some water got onto the sheet making this pool, and then it was cut so you can see the shape on this particular card. Now sometimes you get an effect that's even more dramatic like this, where you can see it's pulled across multiple cards. And this particular example also shows that the printing is done in layers. After that eradicated all of the color,
Bro, how
they
do
then
you
printed the
end up
black
with
for the
the
basic land
next
text
card
on top of
in
it.
the mistake? How do you get the next one in the sheet? How does that
This is
even
a card
make
that's
it
been
to you?
miscut, meaning that when the die comes down to cut the card out of the sheet, it's misaligned. Sometimes that's quite extreme. You can get cases like this where you get the same card split across two different cards. This Halls of Mist straddles both of these Ice Age cards. Now, people who buy sheets off the internet sometimes intentionally miscut them like this. It's rare or impossible to get a card like that from the factory, and so cards like this are usually called not factory cut cards, and they're not usually considered misprints.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes cards come out way too dark or way too light. Who knows what went on with the printing process to get these?
That forest is sick.
You
I would
sometimes get
actually
quite
love that
interesting
card.
situations where certain layers of the card are shifted. For example, here the text is all shifted down, and you can even see that the mana symbols are not sitting in front of the colored circles that they're meant
That's
to.
super cool.
This card has a lot of blue. I do
mean,
not
these
understand
are
why.
really,
And
really
likewise,
neat.
this
but
one here
like,
has some significant
for your
black ink all over
info,
it. You can barely read what it does. And sometimes you get that
Woody,
in
good to
lines
see
like
you.
this.
For your info, those 10 single cards he showed earlier go for 1K to 1.5K per card. And those are just lands. Obviously set and color dependent. Yeah, Chris is very cool. I was not super familiar with Chris's, or I was not familiar with Chris's card collection, but this is insane.
Like this across the card. So another type of error is a crimping error, and that's where the machine that crimps the booster packs by making the seal along them, you know, the bit that you can see on a pack like this, comes down in the wrong place and cuts the card. Oftentimes it doesn't fully cut the cards. You can see here there's the double crimp where it would normally break a pack there and the two packs that are being crimped would be there. And sometimes you get a crimp
He
effect
made
like
fucking
this,
bank when
which
he sold
goes
his share
along
of
the card in the other
GGG.
direction. This
I
is a
get it.
particularly interesting misprint because you can see the magic card back, the this
Listen,
shape here.
this is one of those hobbies where, like, if I was absurdly wealthy, like, there would be signs, and I would 1,000,000% do stuff like this as well. I don't know if I would do it like at scale. Like, it seems like this dude has bought a lot of cards, but it would be super cool to build like a goofy deck. Which are misprints even like tournament legal? Probably not. It'd be super cool to build like a deck that you could at least play with like your friends and stuff. That was just like wacky, so goofy.
Here is printed on top of the front of the card. So sometimes you get this effect where there's kind of a ghosting. The text is blurry, and that's because the text has been double printed. As a comparison, you can see here for these two cards, this is a normal Bazaar of Baghdad here. It looks quite crisp, and this is a double printed one where the text is printed twice, very close to itself. I don't know if I can catch it on camera.
Realized it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to
focus. Focus, you fuck.
All right. Sometimes you get multiple misprints combined into one. For example, this is a card here that, as you can see, is double printed. It's ghostly. It's also been miscut quite dramatically, but the back is normal. And so when the back is normal and the rest is miscut, it means that the sheet has been actually misprinted rather than miscut. So the front of the card is... The front of the card is...
You think this is secretly my video whenever I was literally just complaining about a flight being $600 more expensive? Brother, if I had this kind of money, I would probably just have my own fucking jet to fly places. Like, Jesus Christ, man. The cucumber from the garden's super nice. I want some cucumber. Who edited this for you? This is not how you're supposed to find out, Brainy. I just really want to talk to them. I think you could do a better job. Misprints are tournament legal usually, so long as you bring an official unaltered copy of the card. Reason being that the misprint can also be used to attempt to mislead an opponent. Oh.
Card is in the wrong place relative to where it should be for the back of the card.
Bring some after me dinner. Okay.
Here's a couple of cards that are quite interesting. They've got texture on them, so you can see here, this shape here, you can actually feel with your finger as a ribbed portion of the card, and the same
That's
there.
ridiculous.
And this is because there's kind of like a foil layer which has the ability to get air stuck underneath it
I've
for
never
these two
seen
foil
that
cards.
before.
This Underground Sea has a subtle print error. Basically, this corner here is square. The die is normally meant to be like this. And so that takes a revised Underground Sea.
I like the pacing that he's doing.
Is worth a reasonable amount of money and makes it a lot more special because of the square corner. This card ostensibly has nothing wrong with it at first glance, but when you look on the back, you can see that the back is flipped upside down. So that's a case of them putting the entire sheet in backwards. This one's very interesting. It looks like it's missing a corner, but when you have a look, you can see that the card includes a whole portion of the corner of the sheet that's been folded over.
That's
and so
wild.
You get this ridiculous effect like that.
Oh my God, he's actually...
So that's how the edge of a Magic card sheet looks. This card has an albino front. Basically, it's a normal Magic card, but there was something that went significantly wrong with the amount of color ink that was used on it. And that's in comparison to this card
What color
here,
ink?
Which has an albino back. The presence of one card like this suggests there's an entire sheet, of course. This one is moderately subtle. Basically, this is the Happy Holidays card for 2014. It's a silver border card, which Wizards sent out to celebrate the holidays to various people. And there's meant to be a gold stamp here that says Happy Holidays 2014. And I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but basically, there's just the embossed marking of it without actually having the gold stamp.
How long is this video?
So here's another example of a card. This is a pre-release card, which
We're
is meant to
only
have the gold stamp down there, and it's
7
been
minutes, 8
shifted
minutes
up
into
there.
this
So basically,
video.
the stamping process has put it in the wrong place. And this particular one is still
Has he
within its
shown off his
pre-release
vault?
pack. Basically, when you attend a pre-release event,
do we know
they
what
give
the
you a
vault
special
looks
rare
like?
card in a pack, or at least they used to. And in this case, the stamp was done incorrectly. Here's another pre-release card in a pack, and this one's particularly interesting. So these particular cards have a mechanic that while you're playing them, you get to flip them over, in this case, into a land, which is why it counts for my land collection. And these...
like, when he's done with all this, or, like, when he's offloading it, or whatever, like, if he moves or gets a new vault, I hope he shows off the old vault. It's gotta be... yeah, I've been in there. Nice try, nearly got me. No, I mean, it absolutely makes sense, right? Like, 100%, whenever you have this much fucking cardboard that somebody could just pick up and walk away with. And like even we immediately started joking about how like our objective for the stream was robbing this guy. But like I wonder with his fuck you money if he like constructed a new home, and like part of that was some super secure vault wing, like that would be so cool. Like it's just like you Anger's side room type shit for real. Yeah, you go over to play some Magic with him, and he's like, "I'll be back in half an hour. The security protocols must be adhered to." You just disappear into your vault wing of the house to grab your deck. Retina scanners and shit. Yeah, he claims it's an off-site location. I genuinely kind of hope that it is like some kind of like bank or business that specializes in this kind of thing. I don't know where he lives at, but like you think about, I mean, infrastructure's protected like this, right? But like there's all sorts of like fire suppression systems and safe sites and stuff that are set up for making sure that things don't get fucked up in even natural disasters. So, you know, it would be super cool to know that this stuff is safe. I mean, it's cool that he's even showing it off. So, Monkey Boy, welcome in. Rice straw. Rice fact. Byproduct of rice production harvest. Rice straw is removed. Rice grains during. Oh God, thank you, Stream Elements. Spread out field depending on what's harvested manually using machines. Ratio of straw to paddy ranges from 0.7 to 1.4 depending on the variety grown. Globally, roughly 800 to 1,000 million tons per year of rice straw is produced, with about 600 to 800 million tons per year produced in Asia. Damn. Oh, so in Mordor, and before a hobbit just walks in, bro. I don't know. I unfortunately, fortunately, because people care about it, right? And unfortunately, collectors like this exist. Not like this, but I guess fortunately and unfortunately, Magic is cared about enough that collectors do exist. But so many collectors just buy this stuff to speculate with it and lock it away and never show anybody. So like if people are going to buy up huge blocks of very rare and exclusive cool shit that I'll never be able to afford, it's really cool whenever they actually do show it off like this. Like there's a timeline where Chris Wilson didn't create such a cool video for us to enjoy showing off these land cards. I didn't even know that some of these types of misprints could exist. So like, you know, it's like Wubby buying vintage product to crack it, or like buying it to actually play it. Like I appreciate people that buy the cool stuff and actually use it. So now he has a big collection. Yeah. Gambit, you should show off your pants grab. I don't think that I can do that on Twitch. Maybe we'll stream on Blue Twitch at some point. He should buy some editing knowledge. You should DM him and be like, listen, bro, listen. I can help you out. It's going to be sick. And then edit his videos the way that you edit my videos. It'll be perfect, man. You have the oil slick variant of Atraxa Grand Unifier. That looks pretty sick. You should... I guess I can just look that up. Hold on. I will... if I just Google oil slick variant of Atraxa Grand Unifier, will I find what I'm looking for? I'd rather work with Filian at that point.
And these particular Portuguese ones flip into the wrong card. So down the bottom here, this one says card number 173, and when you flip it over, it goes into 158. And so these are ones where the back and the front are misaligned with each other, as in the wrong backs are used for the wrong fronts. These are cards you shouldn't expect to find in booster packs, but occasionally do. Essentially, so like they have specific slots on the sheets that they don't want to actually print cards in, so they put void or X cards in those places, and the idea is that those don't get put into booster packs.
Or it
but
does
sometimes
have
you
the
find them
rainbow
because of manual human error that's occurred.
effect, and that's what makes it oil slick.
So this is a
That
card
makes
that's been
sense.
double printed on the front. It's a Ebon Fortress and a... Sorry, it's an Ebon Stronghold and an Elven Fortress from Fallen
Is
Empires.
Filion back yet?
Overlaid on
I'm
top of each
asking
other, but
unironically
otherwise it's a
here, like,
normal magic
I'm
card.
not
I
being
actually
an
have the
ass.
original art of Ebon Fortress.
I just stopped paying attention.
This is
to the
another double
ARG or
printed card,
whatever's
but in this case it's
happening.
French and English for the same card. So Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, or whatever it is. Actually, this isn't French and
Wait, what happened to Filion? I don't know. They were lost?
English, is it? This is... Nope, that is French and
Was it
English.
supposed to return around this time? I don't know,
So the
bro.
French one is on top, English is underneath.
I got really, like...
Here's a few more of these double printed cards. Now this set called...
I don't want to be, like, too rain on anybody's parade that's enjoying the ARG, but I feel like it's been dragging on at this point, and so, like, especially whenever I started seeing all of the, like, oh, there's all these Filion stickers all over Dokumi, it's just like, okay, bro, cool. Like, can we just fucking get on with it? Wasn't that just a fan project? Oh, okay, was it? Countdown on our website or something? Milkers! Life to you is dashing and bold adventure. Hell yeah, dude.
called Jumpstart. The original printing of it had a lot of stuff like this. People were finding them all over the place in booster packs. Basically, we have just two different cards printed with different intensities. You're getting all this black stuff along here that's been offset and shifted. Who knows what's going on with that
so
process?
sick,
Some
though.
of
If
the
I got a
Jumpstart
card like
cards
this, I'd be so
look like
stoked.
this, where
Whoa,
this is
that
like a
one's
mountain
sick.
and a forest printed on top of each other, creating this really cool kind of dual land.
That's really cool.
In a similar vein, a gentleman online
don't think your
opened a set
watchers
of
are
Commander
clever
and
at
found
selling
cards like
ARG.
this,
Clearly not.
which were double printed, including a magic back. So in this case, for example, this is a forest with a magic
That's
back, and
wild.
this one is a Celestia Sanctuary with a magic back. But when you flip them over, you've got even more double printing going on. So both the front and the back are double printed.
That kind of thing makes me wonder if there's somebody at the factory that's just
These
like...
cards are interesting. So
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
gonna
a
feed
swamp,
that sheet through
a Goblin
again.
Burrows, and a Temple of the False God. And at first glance, they look completely normal. But when you flip them over, you see that they are actually Harry Potter cards. And these were cards found in Harry Potter booster packs, which were printed at the same
What?
factory as Magic cards for a while. And so people found Magic cards in their packs, which upset them. But Magic collectors were...
I had no idea that these existed. Listen, I grew up with Harry Potter. That would be like the coolest misprint card to get, in my opinion. You know how many of those fucking Harry Potter cards I bought? So, because the Harry Potter cards had some kind of, I forget what it was. There was some kind of like code or something that you could use off of them. People would say you just made a proxy. They really would. I had no fucking clue that that even existed. The Harry Potter cards came out like I think around the same time that the World of Warcraft cards came out too. And I remember like the printing style was very similar. And I bought so many of all of them. Because I bought a bunch of the WoW cards to get the redeemable stuff. And I think Harry Potter did like a similar kind of style. Like there were some cards that had like little foil scratch off things with codes. And that scratches, like, I know that Magic is not going to do that. But like, I think that's such a cool like little marketing tactic. Did you get anything out of those WoW cards? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a couple of the little things that you could get from the WoW cards. There was like a rocket and like a horse and a motorcycle. I think I had a couple of them.
incredibly keen to get their hands on those. Some of my favorite misprints are these older
I can't remember if I got the
albino
rocket.
lands here, and so these have been incredibly hard for me to track down. And if you have any like this from the
It's been a
Urza
long
land
time,
cycle, I
man.
would love to acquire them. So essentially, these are cards where
Urza
it's not
lands
that the
are
card
so
is
cool, they
sun-faded. Like
are.
you can stick a card in ultraviolet and it goes white
I
like this.
wish
But in
I
this
still had
case,
my
the
Urza's
black
lands,
is still
man.
really stark. This is the case of there being basically no color ink available. And it's really cool when you get a misprint like this to try to track down others like it, because there's theoretically a whole sheet of them available. This is a bit of a crazy card.
Oh, did
So
they really,
essentially,
Randy?
the special stamp that they put down
Whoa.
here is made out of a special type of sticker that they
What
apply,
is
and it comes in
that?
these sheets here. And so this particular pre-release, I believe, simplified Chinese card has entire sheets of that stamp just sticking to it, kind of showing the process that they're using internally at the factory. This misprint is just nuts. I don't know what happened with that card. That's just a very strange one. I like oddball ones like this that I've never seen other copies of. Likewise, this mountain is weird, and if you're looking for a single mountain to put in like a commander deck or something, that's the kind of thing that just really stands out.
Yeah, that's super cool.
All right, so next up we have, so this is a non-misprinted Guru land, and it looks like just a regular basic island, and that's because it is, and it has this special symbol
I love this symbol. I love it so much. Whenever I first saw cards with these little guru symbols, I wanted them so badly.
here, which is like one of those academic caps. You know, when you graduate from university, you put your flat cap on. And the idea with Guru lands is that they were a very limited thing that were given out to people that were teaching other people to play Magic way back in the day, like in 99. And so Guru lands are expensive. Like, I don't know the current price. That's more than $1,000. And they pretty much all look like this with a symbol there. But there's a variation of a Guru land where they put the symbols in the wrong way around. And so you get this situation here where instead of being printed there, it's printed on that side of the card.
Does anybody know how much just a regular guru land like this one is now?
And so they call this the Drowning Man Island because it looks like a little man in the water drowning. And there are some other variations of these which look like this, where basically they're Guru lands that are entirely missing the stamp. And so those are stampless Gurus. It's kind of funny,
That's
isn't
so
it, that the
cool.
cool thing about the Guru land is the
1.5K.
bronze stamp because that's a
Bro.
unique thing to that card, but yet the version without the stamp that looks just like a basic land is worth exponentially more money.
Is it? I wonder how much
Collectors
the
are weird that
misprints are
way.
worth.
Finally, we have my favorite recent misprint, and this is one that is going to be very hard to capture on camera. So on the front, it's a beta mountain, and it looks completely normal. And honestly, the back looks normal too. But if you catch it just right in the light, and I'm really not sure if I'm capturing this correctly, but if you capture it just right in the light, you can see a kind of an iridescent green shimmer, which is not normal for Magic cards. I'm going to just try to get as much footage as I can of this. And so this is a very subtle thing. Now, in person, it really pops. And so it's one of those cases of I tell people about this misprint, and they kind of don't believe it's special until I get it into the same room as them, and then they ask how much money I want for it. And there's a cool story with this, where a friend of mine actually noticed over many years a couple of these in the wild and managed to acquire them. He sold one to me, and I was super proud of it. And then I realized, you know what? I've got a ton of beta cards. I mean, not literally. It's just a few hundred kilos. Kidding. I've got a ton of beta cards.
Oh my
I should go
God.
through them and see what I can find. And so I actually managed to find this mountain among my own collection, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Okay, so next up I want to talk about test
talk
prints.
about my
Well, what
cards
are
by
test
bulk
prints?
weight.
Here are some early ones.
Oh, these are
ones
cool. These are
made
super
by
cool.
Richard Garfield himself or early Magic the Gathering developers when they were creating the game initially back in, the early 90s. And so these are cards that were printed out on office printers, photocopied on a Xerox machine, hand illustrated with colored pencils. And the purpose of these cards was to iterate on testing the game quickly while they were making it. They didn't have time to actually go and print finished cards with finished artwork at the time. They just wanted to get playing and making Magic the Gathering. And these are very collectible. I mean, I looked very, very long and hard in order to find this New Zealand island, for example, for my land collection. And I collect the card Desert and was given this recently by two very good friends. And I really appreciated that.
That's
so
a
some of
crazy
these cards have
gift.
special
Holy
meaning to
shit.
me. But in general, I don't like this type of test print. I feel that it's far too easy to counterfeit. I mean, anyone with a printer can make something that looks pretty similar, and how are you going to authenticate them? In fact, there was a scandal with Pokemon cards early this year, where it turns out that some of the recently sold similar types of test prints had some issues with being printed recently, and they were only able to determine this because printers have forensic dots that are printed on pages in order to help track down crime, and in this case it did catch some crime. So I don't love this type of test print. I mean, I do have a few of them, but certainly it's not something I'm focusing on with my land collection, and especially not with my test prints. I will show you some that are far more interesting soon. So a more modern version.
What do you mean I'll show you some that are far more interesting soon? Dude, that's crazy. That's that's so crazy. Oh, that's so wild. Oh.
Okay, next up, I want to talk about my new 100 kilos of my beta cards. All here in my garage, I like them. But do you know what I like more, Juan Trier?
Knowledge. Bees, are you thinking more in metric now? Bro, my brain, I think I've moved past thinking, Polka Dog. I think I think I'm just done with the whole thinking thing, man. The real answer to your question is I keep finding myself flipping and flopping like between the two, and trying to think metrically, but not being comfortable enough with it still. But yeah, like I set my phone to display Celsius and like a lot of stuff that I just naturally talk about. I use the unit of measure that's accepted here, so it hasn't worked out well for most of us. Hey man, we're doing our best, okay? Those pesky alpha cards, those are weak, but the misprint alpha cards, right. There's levels to this shit, man.
Version, and by modern I still mean decades ago, of that type of test print is this, where this is what they're using internally, day-to-day playtesting. This is back in the 90s
This
still.
is the superior playtest
And so they
card.
basically just print them out, stick them on some cards, and do playtesting as they're iterating. And this looks a lot more sophisticated than the ones like this that I was showing you a second ago.
Just seeing how it was.
In some cases, they wanted to test what the
couldn't tell which
print of a
side was
card
the
is like
outside.
rather than the functionality. And so you get cards like this, which are very clearly just showing, like, what does a card look like when you actually
No,
take
good.
it to the printers and print it. There are some interesting cards called make-readies, where basically these are some from the Unlimited set, where you can tell they've got square corners, apart from this one
Yeah.
on the side here, which is subtly different.
Yeah.
And so this is them testing unlimited
Can y'all
printings
hear
of
me
cards.
munching on
But the cool
cucumber?
thing about these is that on the back, you can see that they
doesn't
have
really
both
look
an
like it,
Unlimited
honestly.
and Antiquities card printed on top of each other. And so
Yeah,
this is just
Brandy,
because they're
that's true.
reusing sheets within Wizards, or within the print company. Basically, they're just testing what things look like, and they can print multiple times on top of an existingly printed sheet,
Those are
making
insane
those very
cards.
cool for
What the
collectors.
hell?
When they were testing revised cards, they printed ones with various
What?
colored backgrounds. And of course, these are lands, so I needed them for my collection. These ones have white backs, but they're still printed on Magic cardstock. So they are Magic cards as far as I'm
Of course,
concerned.
these lands,
but-
I needed them
and,
for my
When you
collection.
examine it with a jeweler's loop, you can see the rosette pattern in the print. But they are test prints for revised to see what would happen with colored borders. I'm glad that Magic cards didn't end up with colored... Sorry, I'm glad it took several decades for Magic cards to end up with yellow borders like this. But I digress. So this is a test print for
What the
a
fuck was that
German
card?
foreign black border dual land from the German version of Revised, and it has a white back. And so many
Whoa.
people will assume that this means it's an artist proof, but foreign
No,
cards in
the,
the set did not get... And so cards to end up with yellow borders.
This card. This plains with the checkered flag.
Like this, but I digress. So this is a test
Special
print
version from
for
Aether
a German foreign black
Ramon,
border
welcome.
dual land from the German version of Revised, and it has a white
The
back.
racing
And
set?
so many people
I
will
guess I
assume that
missed
this
the
means
racist
it's an
set,
artist
dude.
proof, but foreign cards in the set did not get artist proofs, and so this is them basically testing what the card would print like.
Did they reprint Crusade?
This one here is a 4th edition test print, mostly interesting because it has no text, but also because the magic back looks different than normal.
Oh, it
If we
does.
compare it to, trying to find a card with a magic back to compare it to. If we compare it to, for example, this one, you can see that the colors are all different. Okay, so next up we have these really interesting ones where they
the card they censored? I don't know. They like
essentially
one of
have
the
the
ones
art
that
of
they banned.
land, but the
I
mana
forget which
cost
all they
text
what all they
and
banned for
functionality
being
of a different
racist or
card.
whatever.
And so, for example, this one here is weakness. It says, creature gains -2/-1, and it's an enchant creature. It's called weakness, I hope, and black mana cost. And in this case, normal magic back. In this case, normal magic back. But things get interesting over here. So
Okay.
this one here, which I think is Wall of Wood, I think. You can see a normal magic back and the special one with a white background. Now, despite that, I believe that the one with the normal magic back is actually worth marginally more than this cool one with the white background.
cool.
For example, there is a normal magic backed version of this Dark Ritual Island. I have the white backed version. This was a very expensive card to acquire, and the one with the magic back is even more expensive. And that is an
Gotcha,
example of a
just
Holy
monster
Grail
check
card for
me
my land
IRL.
collection, where I collect lands, I care about it. This is the
Dad, I'm
best
sitting
one of
on
the
a
ones
bed
that does
right now.
something else because Dark Ritual is so playable. It just looks so cool. And I would move heaven and earth in order to get the magic backed version of that. But I can't because there's like 3 or 4 of them out there and those people want far, far, far too much money. So in the meantime, I am very
Define
happy
far
to have
too
this
much
version
money.
with the white back.
God,
I mean,
it's
it
gotta
looks
be an
cooler on first
insane,
glance.
like, circle
and it was
to
a recent
exist in.
pickup that I'm very proud of. And so these are examples.
Like the super high end Magic the Gathering market where people have like vaults of this kind of stuff, where they have like a catalog of like, oh yes, I would like $300,000 for this. You know, it's like it's the fuck you go away price. Like, you know, triple digits. Sorry, six. Yeah. This man has the GDP of some countries in Magic cards. Yeah, like actually.
Examples of test
Because, like, this is just, like, the misprint land collection, right? Like, imagine how many cards this dude actually has.
prints that, you know, they only appeal to a very niche group of people like me, but they're very special because they were printed for some specific reason. There aren't many copies of them, and yeah, we really like them.
Clearly.
Okay, so next up. When they were starting to print foil cards for Magic the Gathering, they wanted to test what they would look like,
get
and
us
so they
pricey
decided
lands
to
at
use
some point.
City of
Yep.
Traders and a couple of other things
Ooh,
to do
those
this
are cool.
test. And so there's a whole different pile of versions of City of Traders here that have different treatments, like,
What
you know,
the
what's
fuck?
going on with that foiling technique. These are actually printed on like 1 millimeter thick plastic, basically. This here has a silver border, this has a black border, and there's different color permutations of these. So you can see this here has green, this one here has a more blue/dark color, this one has a yellow background, and you can see they have numbers. That one's +1, this one's +3, and so on. That's a
I am
-1.
super nostalgic for
You can see they have numbers. That one's +1, this one's
era
+3.
of foil cards that has, like, the little shooting star in the bottom left. I'm super
Dark
nostalgic
color.
for that era
This one has a
of
yellow
Magic.
background, and you can see they have numbers. That one's +1, this one's +3, and so on. That's a -1. And I kind of went through a phase of collecting this specific card for a while, and at
Clearly.
the time they were quite hard to find. But since then, the ostensible price that people are listing them for has gone up ridiculous amounts. Like, you see cards like this listed for $40,000 at MagicCon, and I don't know if anyone's paying that. I think it's insanity for them to be worth that much.
He talked
but
about
I'm
a
certainly
price.
glad that I picked up my collection of those before they got expensive. It would be a mess otherwise.
Wait, hold on.
Click paying that. I think it's
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. $440,000 worth of City of Traders that we're looking at right now. Was my math correct here? Am I doing that correct? I'm quick maths, but are we looking at half a mil of Magic cards right now? Just because someone sells someone values it at 40K doesn't mean they're worth that. That's very true, Booty. But you say that, and then the altar guy that just sold that Lego alt, like literally a painted card that just sold for like 30 grand or something. So I kind of don't doubt that a couple of these are exchanging hands at like close to that price. So, bro, with $500,000 in one hand, yeah. Each of these probably worth more than my bank account, unironically. Mine is I don't want to talk about it.
It's insanity for them to be worth that much, but I'm certainly glad that I picked up my collection of those before they got expensive. It would be a mess otherwise. So next up,
Bro, just casually waving off it. Yeah, my autistic fixation just made me an easy $300,000.
and talking about foil tests, this is a relatively subtle set of test prints that most people don't acknowledge. So these are
Yeah,
some
that's pretty.
basic lands from Odyssey. They have square corners, and the foil
Like I've said, like the subs and shit go directly to you guys, so it's all I can really hope for at this point is that well, one, I really do hope that the shorts take off and like we see some fresh blood from coordinating and pushing short form content. I think that'd be cool. We have a sizable backlog too. Yeah, for sure. But I want to really stick with it for like a while because it would be silly to do it for like, you know, a month and be like, oh shit, it didn't work. But what I was gonna say is basically what I'm hoping for at this point is that just like the generosity of the community keeps paying for the editors for the foreseeable future. So like right now we're kind of sitting at a point where like it mostly will probably cover it mostly. And I'm comfortable with that. Like I want more short form content and I'm really happy about like the backlog of long form content that we put out over the past couple years. Like, it's something that I just think is really, really cool. So, Red, hello, how are you? Husband. Thank you for the 69 bits, Polka Dog. I appreciate that. I told them that I'm coming to hang out with you. And by I mean me and Gato.
Foil type of printing here is subtly different to normal cards. I don't actually understand the technical details, but allegedly the foiling that was used here was as a test, and we didn't end up with those particular types of foils in the future. I can't tell the
Fresh and
difference
showered
between
and
these and
clean.
normal
Hell yeah.
regular Magic card
How you
foils,
feeling?
except this does come as a test set entirely with square corners, which is pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Okay, next up we have some test prints that people just generally don't know exist.
I hate that we
this
watched
is when they're
this video,
printing
though, because
their
now I
design
want one
stuff
of those
for
Harry
legions,
Potter
which,
cards.
as you may know, is a set without creatures. For whatever reason, these lands have the legion symbol on them, and so there's some basic lands over here, and there's these regular lands here. Now, looking at what they do, so Shore of Confusion, for example, says, tap, pay 1 life, sacrifice it, search your library for an island card and put it into place. This is a variation on a fetch land. This one here doesn't involve tap, but you still have to sacrifice it. Similar kind of thing, fetches forests. But I believe that Peaks of Despair up here, which is spelt wrong, is potentially the best Magic card ever printed. And I say that because look at what it does. Tap, pay 1 life, search your library for a mountain, put it into play, then shuffle. It doesn't require sacrificing this. So every single turn you get to accelerate out an extra mountain. Like, the impact that would have in a modern game of Magic in terms of mana-based dominance is ridiculous. And so this is an example of a card where I suspect they just, got the templating wrong compared to the other ones. And
There's, oh my god, I'm so annoyed. There's, chat, look at this. There's one 8.5 graded. Oh. What the hell? It's showing me different. Oh, probably because. Show me the actual cards that I. Default. Buy it now. Moon! Good to see you. Okay, fine. I'll get the actual specific link. What the hell? First off, there's this dude right here, which is crazy. You have a new phone? What'd you get? What'd you get, Moon? Hell yeah. Bro, this is $3,000. Why aren't you loading images? Hello? There we go. Forgotten Cave. $3,000, which I'm good on that. A 15? Hell yeah. Not that bad. I mean, listen, I get it. It's a rare thing, but I'm not going to pay $3,000 for this. But what really makes me wish that I just had $1,000 to burn is the fact that there's just, where is it? Where'd it go? There's probably better prices on this somewhere that's not on eBay, but somebody's just selling a sealed box of the cards. That would be, what kind of like absolutely ridiculous nostalgia scratch this would be? JC-kun, good to see you. What up, dude? If I had $1,000, I'd buy a little mini PC. Why you want a little mini PC, man? Where'd it go? Anyways, now that I know that these exist, I really want one. Because, like, that is just too fucking cool, dude. It really is. No, more like unlike Pokemon where the Charizards are worth insane amounts that not used as a card in play. These are played regularly. You can enter a mini tournament for $20. You end up in a hall where rarities like that are just about everywhere. That's pretty cool. Dull ears indeed is. To do stuff for me while I can use my main PC? What kind of stuff are you trying to do? What kind of stuff are you trying to do, Moon?
And, obviously we're never going to print it like that. It never was printed, I guess, as an actual Magic card. This is a one printed on Magic stock, but is not, physical.
So glad I wasn't much of a fan of Potter. Was more into Lord of the Rings. See, the thing about it for me was, right, like, here's some, like, ancient bee lore. Whenever I was, like, really, like, a little kid, one of the first books that I remember consuming was every day before, like, pretty much to put me to sleep. My dad would read the Lord of the Rings books to me. And it's like one of my earliest memories of books, and like based dad for doing that, right? And basically what he would do is he'd read, I'd fall asleep or get super tired and be like, okay, that's enough. And then like next day he'd be like, what's the last thing you remember? And then he'd start reading from there. So like I had a love for Lord of the Rings, but like super, super early. So I think that like that facilitated me having like enough space or whatever, like a desire to gobble up like another fantasy world. So I was one of my friends, they took a trip to the UK and they got one of like the like, they were like, oh, there's this book that's blowing up. I remember this happening. And they had like one of the early copies of the Sorcerer's Stone in the UK printing. And I saw it and I was like, this is super fucking cool. And like, it was so early on that it was like kind of difficult to find a US version of the book to find. Anyways, so like, I remember it being a whole big thing. Like my mom trying to find me a copy of this book to read. And I was hooked, man. I pretty much every, like, I had the book reserved for, like, every midnight release, like, read them instantly the day that they came out. Like, I've talked about this before on the stream. I may have participated in some Harry Potter RP forums. It is what it is, man. But it was like a huge part of my childhood and growing up. So how lewd did it get? I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. So I don't know. I get it, and I get why people are like a myriad of reasons why people like either didn't get into it or are critical of it in today's world. But I'm a sucker for it. I admit it. It is what it is. The strongest wood for the wand. Yeah, dude. She huffed on my puff. You have no idea. Did she levitate on it? Dio indeed, dude. Ugh. So I got grounded for reading. Like not even kidding. I got grounded for reading, or grounded from reading rather. So I used to read. I used to read a lot. And I was on a lot of fucking forums, man. So grounded from reading, yeah. This was no more reading. Go watch TV for fuck's sake. That's a new one. Yeah. It was pretty funny, but not funny to me in the moment as well. He was told to touch some grass back in 1850. I couldn't even do that. I was just like, I've had a interesting periods of time with my relationship with my parents, for sure, where some have been better than others, and the being grounded from reading and having my bedroom door taken off of the hinges was certainly one of the downward peaks, one of the lows of said relationship with parents. So you got your door taken? Yeah. The hell? Yeah. Yeah, they put it back after they realized how miserable they would be living in a house with a teenager that didn't have a door on their room. So, put thee down, Put thee down thy scroll and go crusade like the other children of thy age. Yeah, they were like, you quit reading and go play some American football. That's actually what happened. So, jorking it in the open, Jesus Christ. The door really, So when they took my door, I moved my mattress into my closet, the same one that I stream in now. I took my mattress to my closet, and I had my computer and my mattress in my closet, and I pretty much existed in it. And they they did not approve of that. I really expected them to take the closet door as well, but the jork cupboard, hey man, I was living my own little Harry Potter fantasy. At least you didn't get the Potter treatment with the bars and window and the cat flap. What's funny is I actually can't open my window because it's like this leaded artistic glass bullshit. So I kind of do have bars on my window. But, you know, not quite as bad, Jork. Yeah. No, Mom found the Jork drawer. You guys were waging civil wars instead of crusades. Yeah. My mom used to confiscate my computer table. She hated how I would just stare into the void all day and gave it back every time. Yeah, I think the thing that, like, what's funny, right, is, like, I'm grounded from reading, and they took my door, but then I had a stereo. You know, like, one of those ridiculous, like, early 2000s stereo systems, like, early 2000s stereo. Yeah, I had one of these goofy things. Like actually very similar to this one. And they were like, okay, well, you can't read. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll drag some of my CDs out and listen to music and, like, I don't know, stare at my ceiling. And then they were like, wait a minute, you don't have a door on your room. And so now we hear your music through the whole house. And I was like, well, like, I don't know. That's not my fault. And they didn't just, like, take away my CDs. My mom got so annoyed that she was like, fuck it, I guess you can have your door back. And I was just like, all right. Okay. Eventually it became just the power cable for the PC. Same result though. Yeah, my parents tried to do stuff like that too. And then I just went to school and sourced, like, a power cable or whatever. I still have my Iowa CA DW235 stereo from them. It still works too. I don't have mine, and I keep watching. Well, obviously, I'm not watching Facebook Marketplace while I'm not in Murica, but I'm looking for one to listen. I know it's nostalgia bait, but, like, I want my goofy Y2K stereo back, and I'm really sad that I don't have it anymore. So I will end up with one, and I look forward to that day. And on Jork, I'm very jealous of you still having yours. I really am. And you could finally continue taking drugs in peace with your door back. And by drugs, I mean reading books. Yeah, right? Radio Shack vibes, real. I pretty much lived all life without a proper door, not gonna lie. We replaced all of them in our place with harmonica type ones instead because they take less space. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, there's some cultures and shit where they just, like, keep their doors open all the time. I did not grow up like that. My door was shut all the time. Like, even I wasn't even trying to, like, get away with anything. I just, like, I wanted my own space. So I'm very used to having my own closed off space that's, like, I'm not bothered by anybody else that's in the house. So the hell's an accordion door? It's like the little how the fuck do you spell accordion? Accordion. No, accordion doors. There you go. Like these fucking things. Here's a good picture. Yeah, these guys right here probably. It's been so long since I've seen an accordion door. Yeah, they definitely fell out of style in the States for sure. I still have mine, just the CD player doesn't work anymore, but the cassette decks and everything still work fine. Yeah, they sell rebuild kits for a lot of those Blue Roses. Not all of them are super easy to get, but like I've been kind of tempted by a couple that I've seen so far on eBay and stuff, where I'm just like, I could probably fuck around and find out with rebuilding that thing. And then you come to my house where everything is so open. I didn't want to call you out directly, Gato, but yeah, Gato's like, it's just culturally, I guess, for them, it's just everything's just open, and like that's just how it is. Like they just, and it's so weird to me because like it's just habit for me to walk into a room and to shut the door. So balls and out for real, yeah. How do they jorkin it? I don't know, man. And you think I could do that? I don't know. Somebody could help you out with that. You could do it. You know what, Blue Roses? I do think that you could do that. I do actually think that you could do that. It's literally like Legos. You can Legos, right? They make the best squeaking noises of all time. My cat climbs on it now. Nice. The slide out dividers are more commonly seen in large living spaces. Deathman, I saw them a lot in like in trailers actually, and in like 70s era homes. I feel like. To be fair, I want to preface this with some viewer discretion because lasers can damage your retina. But if you cannot play around with it, you can often just replace the laser and have a functional CD player again. Yep. Jorkin is just like Legos? Yeah, you can follow... Listen, there are Jorkin tutorials out there. You can be just like Sam, and you can look up a Jorkin tutorial, dude. 100% it's not too hard. You don't even need to solder. Yeah, for a lot of them, it's like super... like, and for a lot of them, it's literally just belts that have like, dried out. I love Legos. Me too. I did send you Fap Queen link and DMs before. Well, you know, my DMs are an interesting place for sure. We could discuss that you helped me then. Listen, when Moon bought her new computer, however many years ago that was at this point, how long was I in that Discord call with you, Moon? Welcome. Long hours. I had work the next day, and I was on like a 9 or 10 hour long Discord call with Moon. And I was literally like, listen, this shit I know it's a lot, but you can do this. And Moon did it, and it worked perfectly. So, really, so we got some France architecture and interior inspired houses here, and that's where I see them. But basically for those living rooms combined with a dining room. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Deathman. That's an application I've seen as well, for sure. But I think it was just a really, really cheap and space-saving option for, like, you'll see them in RVs sometimes too as well, actually. So not everyone is confident enough to Lego with tech, though in Moon's case was likely more pricey than a CD player. Yeah, no, absolutely. How long have I been in a call with you, Moon, after the previous message? Listen, this is a safe environment, okay? This is a very safe stream. My PC would probably be like 10K now. Yeah. Also, did you install Gato's CPU like before it's time to leave in an hour? I mean, no. I you know what? Actually, we may do that like tonight. Honestly, we may. I need to stop putting that off. It's just we've done. Like, Chris is almost to the cool card. I'm so sorry, Inger. We haven't done, like, a lot of, like, gaming or anything. Haven't really thought about it. We've just been, like, up to other stuff. So, Gato, you should, I'm going to start digging through your shit. Hold on. Let me find the processor. Chat, poor Gato's been sitting on that CPU for a month. Chat, listen. Where is it at, Gato? Uh-huh. I think I know where it is. Chad, I think I found it. Is this it? Is this it?
We're back.
Is this it?
We're back.
Is this it? Like, actually, is this it?
We're back.
Is this it?
We're back.
Can I show chat?
No.
Please?
No.
Please?
No.
Please? A moose! A moose! Can I?
We're back.
Fine. I found it, Chad. We should do that tonight.
No.
Why not? Why not?
I don't wanna.
You're not even doing it. It's me. Mushy mushy, I'm witness to a beating. I found it, chat. Slap. Got those slaps ASMR. Should we call PETA? Does PETA care about bees? Are bees endangered? Well, I'm a fit in California, so like, at least in California they care about me, I think. Does PETA care? Well, I mean, not really, but bees are endangered. I hope the bees sting them. You know what that means. All right, Chris, show him the cool card.
Physically in a booster pack. And I like test prints like this because they're moderately...
They may just set me on
they're
fire,
moderately,
right, Spyro?
unknown. Like I can show them to people and get a reaction every time. And as far as I know, this is the first time that they're being shown in a YouTube video.
Ooh,
I
that's
have
cool.
more from this particular set, which I managed to acquire back in 2019 in one go, which I was very pleased with. Okay, so next up we have M15 test prints. So basically, when they were working on M15, they wanted to try to come up with, like, for example, a custom font. You know, they wanted a new layout of the cards. And so this is an example of them prototyping a basic land here. This is them doing a non-basic land. This isn't, like,
That's
this is,
cool.
you know, it's a magic card, but the symbol here is not actually a holographic one. It's just printed as gray. These are foil and non-foil versions, and my understanding, and I haven't fact-checked this prior to recording, but my understanding is Gotham was the name of the font that they switched to with M15. So those are M15 test prints. And it actually gets kind of interesting because that was also the set they introduced the symbol down the bottom, you know, the one that looks like this, the anti-counterfeiting symbol. And so
I don't like that symbol in the middle like that. I thought I was not a fan of these the format of the card changes that they made for this era of sets.
when they were doing that, they printed a set of these test cards here. Each one says test card, test card, test card.
Okay, I'm
And they
calling
have different
animal control. There's a
variations of
wild
symbol.
gato on the
So here
loose.
you can see a circle there you can see a diamond here, you can see you know, what looks like
Do
the
we wanna
Innistrad
play a couple
logo, the
rounds of
Magic
Mecha
logo
Chameleon?
in different colors
Red
before they
and
eventually settled
Tinko
on the
and
design.
Oakum.
of
We've got a
putting
bunch
this
of
down the
people.
bottom here
We've got a
instead.
bunch of people that have
And
Mecha
so
Chameleon
this is
here
a
right
set of
now.
all the different permutations of Dragon Skull Summit as test cards, and there's a few different ones of these. Next up, we have an example of basic land. There are the 5 of those. And my
can't
understanding
right
is there
now.
is actually a 6th that I have not acquired. And this is why it's fun to be a collector of these things, because you think you have the complete set, and then someone shows you one of these with an orange symbol, and now you have a multi-year epic expensive quest
No.
to track it down. And most people who you talk to will say, oh no, there's only 5. I think you're correct already, but I'm pretty sure there is a 6th
You
one
made
that I need to
Gato even
acquire
grumpier
of
by
those.
wanting to help, and now
If
you want
have
to play
it,
games
please
with
get
her?
in touch. Okay, so next
wanna
up
play
in terms
Magic
of test
Chameleon.
prints. So they were testing this mechanic called meld, where they wanted to print creatures that go across 2 cards. Now, Endbringer, I believe, never ended up as an actual meld creature,
Things
and it's
are about
missing
to
a
get
symbol up here.
unhinged.
But these were
what am I
printed
even
on
looking at? I have
lands, which-
the little I see. The little mini cards. I have what was unglued? Is that the set? BFM unglued. They did this like way back in the day, dude. Yeah, I had this card. I don't know if I still have it, unfortunately. But I did. And so like they've had this idea for a long time, because Unglued was like, what year was that? 93? 98. Unglued was 98. So, yep.
Which means I get to collect them for my set. And so
I was
quite
comfy
pleased.
downstairs munching on
it's
cucumbers.
one
You
of the
didn't
things
even
where,
bring
like,
me more
you hear that
cucumbers.
someone
That's
has these test
crazy.
prints. You hear they run a bakery in New York City. You have to track them down by like doing a bit of detective work,
Just
and you
cat
can eventually
behavior,
message
yeah.
them and say,
Frick
"Hey,
you,
by
frick
chance,
you."
do you collect Magic the Gathering cards? And can you sell me some meld test prints?" And then they do. And
Yeah,
it's
Deathman,
it's such a cool
yeah.
story, collecting something like that. Okay, so next up in terms of test prints, these are going to be quite hard to see, but these are for, I think, Time Spiral Remastered. They were testing various foiling stuff, and these look like normal cards except for the weird foiling. And right down the bottom, and there's no way we're going to be able to see this on camera easily, but just under the copyright line here, there's some very small microscopic text you can see with the jeweler's loop that says
get
like
some
test
come
print
over,
or something
Moon.
along those lines. Like I definitely can't read it from here. But those ones are
I think
pretty
it's
cool
cooler
tests
here
they were doing
anyways.
for that particular set. Some of my favorite test prints that don't have a good explanation are, okay, so this is a bicycle playing card, right?
What?
And on the back,
What?
it's Magic the Gathering. This one here is a Polluted Delta, and on the back, it's a bicycle playing card. And so you
What?
kind of have both sides of a playing card and both sides of a Magic the Gathering card. The texture of this one feels, I mean, I've got it in a sleeve, but the texture of this one feels like an actual playing card rather than a Magic the Gathering card. Interestingly, because a whole deck of these was printed, or several decks, this thing here wasn't expensive. It was like $20. This thing was, though. Okay, so one of the special test prints that I've been saving for last is this. Yeah.
What?
So that's Swarovski, sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong, Swarovski crystal. And essentially, this was it's hard to say whether Wizards commissioned this or whether someone had it made in an attempt to get Wizards to do it. But basically, it was for the M30 celebration. You can see they've put little stones on the back here. And basically,
This would have been so much more cool than reprinting Power 9. I'm just saying.
for the 30th anniversary of Magic, they wanted to do something special, and so they've taken this full art island here and covered it in gemstones. It's pretty cool. There's some other ones available of these online. There's a Black Lotus, I believe, for example, but that was too rich for my blood. So I settled on an island, which I am very happy with. It feels hefty. Like that's a
Too
thick
rich for
boy
my
there.
blood is crazy.
So this is
from
one of
this
the
guy.
favorite cards in my collection I've picked up. It's just so, I mean, sparkly, but so different to most other test prints that I have in the collection.
The stickers were so goofy.
One of
man.
the types of test prints that I skipped over that I'd like to focus on briefly is 8th edition test prints. And so they look
Whoa,
like this.
what
Now,
the
these
heck?
don't look like Magic cards to you or me, and that's, I mean, the reason why is because they decided not to go ahead with it. But basically, this is a swamp, it taps for black. This is a Darkwater Catacombs, it filters, as you expect.
That's kinda
And
cool, though.
these were printed when trying to test what the new 8th edition frame should look like. And I think we may be able to show you some more examples here. So there's actually a lot of these, both
Oh,
foil
God.
and non-foil, so you can see the different permutations. Some of these have both left and right sides, as in the symbols are either on the left or the right, which is cool. And I have been picking these up for a number of years whenever they're cheap. I mean, obviously they were much cheaper in the past, they're more expensive now. Here's an example of both the left and the right sides.
Get you some? Okay. All right, let's see. I'm assuming that this is going to be at least $50,000, whatever I'm looking at here. I don't know what it is. Oh, they just have a bunch of them. Okay. Wow, that's just downright affordable, bro. Yeah, I could get a swamp for $18K or a plains for $15. The Black Lotus is $200,000. All right. Okay. You get the whole set for $150K. Swarovski crystal sounds like some Polish crystal glasses. Yeah, I mean it's just glass beads. Half a car in 2026 for $18K anyways. Yeah, right. Right? Hey man, this one's only 10 grand. This one's the budget option. Look at this bad boy. I went to school with one of the Swarovskis. That was neat. That's wild. Wait, is that all that they have? Right? Ancestral is a really crazy site, man. Alpha starter deck, $100,000 in stock. Power 9 alters by original artists. What? That's super cool. That's ridiculously cool. He didn't give me a magic card? That bitch. Shibari Dragon noted. Garfield event card, Splendid Genesis, $45,000. Holy. What? Oh, what? What? That's a crazy card, dude. This would be so funny to play in like a random commander game or something. Just fuck everybody's shit up. That's wild. Yeah, this is where Wubby sources a lot of his stuff from, if I'm not mistaken. Inverted card back uncut sheet. That sold out. Test print Lotus, that's the one we just looked at. Time Walk playtest, 25 grand. Polluted Delta foil onslaught, 20K. Then you just get your friend to join. It would be so cool. They have a lot of summer magic too. That's cool. Where'd it go?
For Underground River, and so most of the stuff I picked
I
up
did not
when it
expect
was
to look at a
very
bunch of
inexpensive
magic cards
back in the
tonight,
day.
but this has been a fun little rabbit hole to jump into.
It's getting harder to find them these days. I think I have the world's largest collection of 8th edition test print lands at this stage. Now, I've purposefully avoided collecting the other types of cards from the 8th edition test prints. It's, there's a variety of them. I focused entirely on lands myself. Okay, next up. So this card is Gaia's Cradle. It's a staple that's played in
I had like 3
Legacy.
of them, man.
It taps for 1 green for each creature you control. And this particular example here
Like, they
is
wouldn't
miscut,
be in
showing a
pristine
blue
shape.
card
I
on the
just
left
wish that
there.
I had them.
And so miscut cards are generally worth quite a lot more if they show an extra card. And so this is the kind of thing someone could pimp out their EDH deck, assuming it's legal in EDH, which I should have fact-checked prior to recording this. It's at least legal in Legacy, so they can pimp out their Legacy deck. This one here is the same thing, but with a significant miscut, right? That's showing like a good few millimeters of the neighboring card without cutting off anything important from this one. And so after I acquired these, I went on a bit of a mission to get as many cool Gaia's Cradles as I could. This is a mission that led to much insanity.
Bro, a regular Gaia's
Here is a
Cradle is
foil
how
Judge
much
promo.
now? Wow,
The card was
that's
not
insane.
printed as foil normally, but there was some foil
Yeah, how much is just a regular Gaia's Cradle at this point?
versions made and given to judges a long time ago. This
are
version
they- are they
is pretty heavily miscut. You can see
$500
that
plus
it
dollars now?
barely has a border at the top, and it has quite a thick border at the bottom. This version here is slightly more extreme. This version here, more extreme again. And I believe that this technically shows a little bit of the sheet edge here, which makes it even more special. This version here, even more extreme, showing even more sheet edge, like a good 1.5 millimeters or so of sheet edge there. So those are my 4 miscut foil cradles. This one here is a foil cradle with square corners. I don't know how the process results in a square corner cradle, but that exists. This one here and this one here are
A
both
regular
shifted. So in this
cradle
case,
is 1.5K
the text layer
now.
is a little bit higher than the
Like a
symbols,
regular
and you can
foil
see
one,
that
I
the
guess?
text overlaps with the border there, and the minus symbol is shifted down. And so those are very special. It took a lot of effort to collect them. And the most important of these, though, is this one here. So this is a textless cradle.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
I
That's
would
super
say that
cool.
out of my misprint or test print cards, this is the one that gets the most attention. Like, this is the
Yeah.
one where if I have it with me at, say, MagicCon, it causes a queue of people who want to see it. It wasn't particularly expensive when I bought it a long time ago because, I
Of
guess
course.
the card wasn't as good relative to other ones then or whatever, or maybe people
Non-foil?
weren't
Oh
collecting
my God.
this particular type of thing. But I've been offered $70,000 in cash for it since then. It's certainly become very popular as one of the key test prints that people want to collect. And I suspect it's because it's such an iconic card and such an iconic deck that people really want the really pimped out foil version with no text on it whatsoever, apart from the little floating mana symbol by itself. So that's one of the pieces of my collection I'm most proud of. All right, so I wanted to kind of wrap up by showing you a slice of what it looks like to collect a relatively deep set of misprints and test prints related to one particular card. And that card here is a strip mine. So this is a non-misprinted one. It's just a regular strip mine. And at least it's what the card used to look like back in the day before they stuck a spaceship on it or whatever they did to the 2025 printing. And so this is a regular everyday strip mine showing you what it looks like before we get into the misprints. So this version here is a, I believe, Spanish borrowing card, and it has the strip mine art. So this is a misprint insofar as the fact they put the wrong art on the card, but it's not technically a strip mine as far as, playing with the card, but it does go in this collection. So next up we have this version. It's crimped. As you can see, it may be a bit difficult to see. I'll just take it out of the card saver. You can see along the top here there's a crimp. So that is my one example of a crimped strip mine.
All right.
This version here, which is, I believe, Italian, is off-center. You
Italy
can see that
mentioned.
it's somewhat mis-centered on both sides. Relatively minor misprint. This one here, which is a 4th edition one, is more off-center. This version here, which is, I think, a Chronicles copy of the card, is significantly off-center on the back, but not on the front.
Oh, that's cool.
This version here, again, Italian Renaissance.
Italy mentioned
is,
again.
Miscut, so you can see a sheet edge on the top, and I believe it's only on the top. This version here, a more extreme example of that. This is a 4th edition one with alpha cut corners. You can see here that the corners are significantly more rounded. If you take a modern card, I'm trying to find like a normal Magic card. Okay, there we go. If you take a more modern card, you can see here that the corners are not quite as severe as that. And so this alpha cut one, they were using dies like left over from alpha or whatever.
That's cool.
So this is an original Antiquities copy. This is where things start to get slightly expensive, and this particular one is
slightly
miscut on the back.
expensive,
Moderately
okay.
severely, actually. You can see quite a lot of the other card. And so that's like an alignment error with printing. This is another Antiquities copy, and this one is substantially miscut on the back. I was very pleased to pick that up. This is an Antiquities copy that is miscut on the front, so you can see another card. And so that's one of the more like pimp ones you can put in your deck because it's an original printing, it shows another card, it certainly would attract attention. Interestingly, the back is completely sheets of that stamp just sticking to it.
It's one of the more pimp ones that you can put in your deck. That's crazy. I love him saying the word pimp.
Extreme example of that. This is a 4th edition one with alpha cut corners. You can see like a normal, and not quite as severe as that. And so this alpha cut one, they were using dies like left over from alpha or whatever.
Right next to your textless foil cradle, yeah.
So this is an original Antiquities copy. This is where things start to get
is my
slightly
super
expensive,
pimp,
and this particular one
my
is
super
miscut
pimp
on the
deck.
back. Moderately severely, actually. You can see quite a lot of the other card. And so that's like an alignment error with printing. This is another Antiquities copy, and this one is substantially miscut on the back. I was very pleased to pick that up. This is an Antiquities copy that is miscut on the front, so you can see another card. And so that's one of the more like pimp ones you can put in your deck because it's an original printing, it shows another card, it certainly would attract attention. Interestingly, the back is completely aligned. So this is one of the slightly rarer types
It's called
of
like that
miscuts
because you
where
end up
the sheet
selling
itself is
yourself
actually
out to
misaligned.
afford the cards.
This is an albino copy, like the
Or you
Urza lands
start
that I showed you earlier.
grinding
This
your
is
games.
one of my favorite pickups in the last few years. It took a long time to track that down, and certainly is probably the most pimp copy that I would play with if using a strip mine myself. Then finally, a test print strip mine. This one has a normal looking front. I mean, the corners are pretty square. It's in pretty rough shape. And the back looks like this.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I don't know
That's
why they
cool.
were printing that on the back of Magic cards. There's a whole story about how Arabian Nights was going to have a different Magic card back. This is, months later at least, so I'm not sure what was going on with this particular test print.
I mean, they're probably just
but,
playing with all sorts of ideas.
this is
at
one
that
of my,
point.
my favorite strip mines in my collection. So that's the misprints and test prints I wanted to show you today. I've limited it to just this set. I actually have maybe 3,000 or 4,000 other misprints and test prints that I haven't shown you, partly because they're just, additional examples of the types that I've shown. I've shown you the main ones, which is important. And also, for brevity, I didn't want this video to go on too long. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm keen to share more of my Magic card collection in the future, alongside videos about game development and interviews with my favorite game developers.
That is insane. That was genuinely an unhinged video, bro. What's the most watched? Well, this one has 130K views. The one from a day ago has 44,000. Imagine trying to find a card. Wait, what is this? My 16-year search for one
Hi,
Magic the
I'm
Gathering
Chris
card.
Wilson. As many of you know, aside from game development, I've spent the better part of the last 24 years working on my Magic the Gathering card collection, and during that time I've tracked down a lot of quite...
As I've said before, I kind of wish that I had like the kind of tism that made me like stick with a single interest. Because I look at people that have fixated on Magic the Gathering for a long period of time and have like cool collections that they can look back on, and it like spans... It's like for a guy like him, this spans like the majority of the life of the actual game itself. And like it would be really cool to have something like that. But holy, imagine trying to build this type of collection like starting today.
quite difficult to find cards. But there's one in particular I want to talk about today. I want to tell you a story about a card that took me 16 years to find.
16 years to
The
find,
card I'm
dude.
talking about tracking down isn't something crazy and expensive like an original Black Lotus.
You could start
or
today.
a
I
Richard
mean, I already
Garfield
have a
card.
collection. It's
Instead,
just
it's a
not
land card
organized
that honestly
and
most people
not
laugh
very good
at.
anymore.
It's a foreign variant of this card, Arena, which in English is just worth a few dollars. Now,
Buy some
normally for super
Labubus.
rare cards, people know exactly where they are. If there's 10 copies of a test print in the world, generally people know who has them, and it's big news when they change
Dude,
hands.
they're gonna come back around.
And there are
They'll be
one-out-of-one
popular
cards
again
like the
one
One
day.
Ring, and
Trust.
everyone knows who has that. And even if the owner isn't willing to part with it, people at least understand how difficult it would be to collect it. But with a card like the one I'm talking about today, it's difficult because people just don't know how many there are out there. And that's mainly because no one cares about the card. And as a collector, that makes it very difficult for me. The context for me looking for this card is that my
it's in a
favorite collection
spreadsheet.
to work on is my non-basic
course.
land collection. Basically, I'm trying to collect one of every non-basic land card printed between 1993, when the game came out, and late 2021. Now, this sounds straightforward, but Wizards have printed Magic in 11 different languages. There's foil and non-foil versions of cards and other variants. There's
Don't
weird
post
promotional
that in
copies,
Discord.
and it's been kind of a lifelong effort to try to collect all of them. There's over 30,000 unique
Oh
cards
my
in this
God.
collection, and I'm getting pretty close. Apart
For those of you that don't understand the reference, apparently Discord's AI like CSAM detection has falsely flagged a couple of like, supposedly this is what the people are saying. It's false flagged some patterned like textures that are like 3D textures that were flattened down into 2D in like grid patterns. Grids apparently are throwing off the AI detection. So don't post your favorite grid in Discord, otherwise you might get banned.
Apart from quite a big pile of Portuguese cards that I'm looking for, I have pretty much everything, so I'm trying to track down the remaining
God
stragglers.
damn it, Portugal.
To help you understand the context of this card, let's have a look at some of Magic's oldest lands. So, these cards, while expensive, are pretty easy to track down. If you want to get an alpha or a beta card, you just message someone online and they'll sell it to you within a day or so. So in addition to alpha and beta, we've got Collector's Edition, International Collector's Edition, Unlimited, Arabian Nights, one of my favorite sets, Antiquities, with all the different Urza land.
Apparently fixed now.
We have the Foreign Black
I don't
Border
trust it,
Revised
man.
Dual Lands,
Clankers.
really good for EDH. Then we have White Border, English and Foreign Dual Lands.
This is just my fist-sized pile of dual
The
lands.
really
no big
vibrant
deal.
summer ones, Legends, and of course, the Dark.
Bulk scrap
So
dual
then
lands,
chronologically, we come to the card we're talking about,
This is
Arena.
the brokey.
Now, this is a
brokey
card
shit,
that wasn't
man.
present in booster packs. As you can see by this pen symbol here, it was a book redemption
Do I actually want to know how much money he's flashing here? No, you really don't. You really don't.
card. Basically, you buy a book called Arena back in 1994 and read it. It's a story about the game, and you can
love
then fill in a
stuff like
form in
this.
the back of the book.
Oh, I
send
love
it into
stuff
the
like
publisher,
this. This is
Harper
so
Prism,
cool.
and they post you a copy of the card in the mail. Basically, a tie-in in exchange for a promotional book that's helping grow the popularity of the game. Now, this wasn't a very good card, and isn't a very good card. Back in the day, people just didn't play with it. I mean, it's a land that doesn't generate mana. There are much better lands available to put in your decks. This one has an overcosted ability that wasn't super relevant. And it was kind of a joke. Like, a few people would collect it because it's an interesting thing to show off, but it was never worth any money. I can't emphasize enough how unimportant this card
Just chat. Isn't it wild that we used to live in a world, well, not all of us, but plenty of us here, knowing my community, isn't it wild that we used to live in a world where they would send like books to your house and you could order things to your home using a book and this kind of thing, which occasionally this kind of thing still happens, but usually they don't bother with like you have to mail in to get it. It's like I have a novel that came with a Magic the Gathering card that I picked up like within the past year or so, actually. Anyways, like I think that kind of thing's super cool, but there was a world that existed where you genuinely, like, you had to buy a book and then mail in a little card to get this back in the mail after who knows how long. It's insane. The catalogs, catalogs.
card is. No one really cares about it. Few people remember it. Thankfully, you can pick it up cheap. Even today, more than 31 years after it was printed, it's just $5. Getting this card is not a problem. There are hundreds of them online available for purchase today.
I kind of want to buy one now.
So
I wonder
what's
how much
the
they
issue?
are after
Well,
this video.
there are foreign versions, and my land collection involves collecting all printings of the card. So how were the foreign versions distributed? Well,
God.
exactly the same way. There are foreign versions of the books, and if you fill out the form, you get the card. I eventually tracked down a French version of Arena, which, as you can see, is quite a lot lighter than the English version.
Yeah,
I managed to find a Spanish copy, which has a white border, unlike the black borders of the other ones. And on a cruise with my family, where they went to do tourist stuff and I went to the local card store, I found a Portuguese copy.
What the fuck?
At this
That's
stage, I had
crazy.
everything apart from Italian. For many years, the Italian Arena sat
Tanko,
there as a hole in my
please.
collection. I'd heard that it existed, I just didn't have any proof. It was hard to find people who cared or really acknowledged the card was a thing. And when I did talk to collectors about it, they either told me that it did exist, they had just never seen it before, or that it didn't exist and
Sorry,
it was a
I'm
mistake
hoarding
to
them
look
all.
for it. There was specifically a
I can't
rumor
believe
going
you would
around
do
that
this.
the Harper Prism Arena books were never released in Italian.
you're so
which
toxic,
means
you're
maybe
part
the
of the
card was
problem.
printed, but never
Fucking
actually
scalpers,
distributed to
man.
anyone. In that case, it's kind of a
Keep, like,
grey area.
300
Do I
under my
collect it or
bed.
do I not collect it? The reason this is relevant is that my long-term plan for the
you just take a different picture and anonymously send pictures. Take a different picture, use an anonymous email, and email this dude like every fucking day, being like, "I bet you wish you had this Italian Arena." He's just losing his fucking mind. I in Italian stands for investment. Hey man, it's one day it's gonna pay off. Every week, just add one more card into the frame. That would be so fucking good.
for the land collection was to store it in a series of binders like this. Once I had most of the lands, I was planning on inserting them sequentially in the binder, leaving a hole for every card that I'm missing. Now, if I don't know whether the arena actually exists or not, it raises a question as to whether I leave a hole there. And
God,
if I make a
imagine
mistake, I have
having
to
to-
potentially move 30,000 cards by
Yeah,
one slot.
exactly
and
that.
that would take hours, dozens of hours. At 5 seconds
Yeah,
per
fuck
card, that's
that.
like 40 plus hours of just moving it from one section in the binder to another. More time went by and I kept asking people about the card. Eventually someone pointed me to a site called Magic Librarities. It had a whole bunch of historic information about the game,
Whoa.
and it included a section on the
That's
Harper Prism
cool.
promo cards. It had information about the books and the cards that were redeemable, but more importantly, it had a section about Italian cards, and this specifically showed me a copy of Arena in Italian. Now, this is before Wizards of the Coast did digital mock-ups of their cards, so if there's a photo of it online,
Intimidator,
then
welcome.
at least one copy of it exists, and I must track that
I
copy
did.
down.
I
I was in a
wasn't
difficult
America, but it was
situation, though,
good.
because a lot of people knew I was looking for the card. After all, I'd asked pretty much every collector I could talk to about it. And people also knew it was for the land collection, which I'd spent a lot of time and resources on so far, and that this was something very important to me. And so we have a card here that no one cares about, no one's going to play it in a deck, no one else is trying to collect, but because of the fact that I'm looking at for this really important collection, people could pretty much demand any price they wanted.
Yep.
And I'd pretty much just have to pay that or live with a
Yep.
hole in my collection forever.
Yup.
After scouring the American Magic card sites for years, I realized it was time to take the search to Europe. After all, Italy is in Europe, and the cards probably ended up in Italy because they're Italian.
Yep.
The largest European Magic card site is Card Market. It's a bit like TCG Player, a marketplace where many different sellers can list cards, but of course it caters for English and foreign
I feel like
languages.
you might have to go
So
boots
I
on
had
the
a look,
ground,
and sure
man.
enough, there were no Italian arenas, as I expected. Plenty of other foreign copies, though. They do let you set a trigger, though, so when an arena is listed in Italian, it sends you an email. So I set my trigger, and I waited. A few months went by, and then finally I got an email. Someone was
like the dude
listed
that
in
goes to
Italian
Japan
arena.
for things? Which
So I
one?
rushed to find someone in Europe who could receive the card for me. I did all of the setup work. I bought the card and waited a few anxious weeks for it to arrive at their house. They sent me a photo of it, and it was in Spanish, not Italian.
No!
This
Spanish,
process then
what the
repeated a
fuck?
couple of times. My friend in Europe was accumulating a small pile of arenas in every language other than Italian. I guess it turns out that some European sellers were being a bit careless with what languages they listed cards in. Eventually, I managed to get the
Not us because you're lazy, bro. Okay, all right, yeah. I'll just use all that the fucking war chest to go to Japan to just hang out, bro. I'll just end up homeless in Japan. How about that?
the contact details of the person who took the photo that was on Lib Rarities. He indicated that the cards are out there. Italian arenas do exist. They're just incredibly rare and are in the hands of forever collectors. He promised to help me find one. Over the course of a year, he managed to find a collector who did have a copy of Italian Arena, and they sent me this photo of it.
Whoa.
This is the first living proof of the card actually existing, aside from the photo that was on Lib Rarities. Eventually, a deal was struck, for a king's ransom, of course, and I received the card in the mail.
I want to know how much you
Finally, an Italian Arena.
How much
After
did you pay,
16
bro?
years of looking for it, that part of the land collection was complete. The feeling was a mixture of joy and relief. I didn't have to look for this card anymore. I excitedly told my friends, and honestly, no one really cared. They knew I was looking for it, but yeah, you know, Chris tracked it down. That's going to happen eventually. I was happy, though, and it really, really made my year. I honestly treasure this card a lot more than a
And
lot of
then
the
the
other
next
ones in my
week, another
collection
one
because
popped
there's
up
such a
for
cool story
$5.
attached to it. But the story doesn't end there. A few months later, another Italian Arena triggered on Card Market. It was listed for a fraction of the price of what I paid for this one, but still
course.
pretty high by Arena standards. I bought it anyway. I wasn't expecting it to be Italian. None of the other ones were. It arrived at my European friend's home, and he sent me a photo of it. And it was also Italian.
And here it is.
So now I have two, and I love them. And this is honestly why collecting is fun. I have
Probably more than
arbitrarily
Lotus, yeah,
decided this
probably
card
so.
is important to me, that this card is expensive and hard to find, and the rest of the world may not agree on its importance, but they certainly
I wonder if you could go to like actually go to Italy and like talk to people that have been into the game for a long time and track down another copy for not $30,000. Like I guess not, because I mean surely word spread that this dude was looking for one and it was really that hard to find. But like I don't know. The precision with which he placed the second one there with a single finger and a swift motion. Let's see.
can't produce this card. And this was also Italian. So now I have two, and I love them. And this
Yep,
is honestly why
yeah,
collecting is
he's
fun. I
played
have
a
arbitrarily
little bit of
decided
Magic,
this
man.
card is important to me, that this card is expensive and hard to
tell- you
find,
can tell
and the
by
rest
the
of the
way
world
it
may
is.
not agree on its importance, but they certainly can't produce copies on demand. I didn't go into this thinking that out of the
What does he go to
500,000
Japan to
cards that
look
I have,
for?
two of my favorite ones would be random Italian copies of some bad land that had to be redeemed from some book promo in Europe in the mid-90s, but here we are. The story behind them is the important part to me. So you may be wondering, now that I've ticked off Arena, what is the card that today I am missing that's the oldest? And the answer there is a Spanish copy of Floodplain from Mirage.
Like that giant
As you
seal.
can see
Oh,
here,
that
I've
guy.
got Italian,
Bro,
English,
that
French,
video was incredible.
German,
We watched that on stream, right?
Portuguese, and Japanese, and no Spanish copy. Is there an equal...
We watched the TV video on stream, right? That video was insane. Oh, he went to the stupid Microsoft Windows building. Microsoft Bimbos or whatever it is.
Really crazy story involving floodplains? Well, I haven't been able to track one down. I mean, there's certainly no copies on Card Market, and no one's ever seen
Sorry, it was...
it. No Spanish copy. German, Portuguese. Here, I've got. The answer there is a Spanish copy of Floodplain from Mirage. As you can see here, I've got Italian, English, French, German, Portuguese, and Japanese, and no Spanish copy. Is there an equally crazy story involving floodplains? Well, I haven't been able to track one down. I mean, there's certainly no copies on Card Market, and no one's ever seen one before, from what I can tell. So I started buying copies of the Spanish version of the Mirage set. And if we have a look at the lands here, this particular set has all the lands in Spanish, but the floodplain is in English. This collector was
This dude looking for a single card, so he's just buying complete versions of sets. Yeah, here's just my complete Mirage set in a foreign language because I'm looking for a single card. That's so unhinged. That's so unhinged.
was unable to find a Spanish one when they completed their entire set of Mirage. So I bought another Mirage set. And this one here
Yeah, it's true, Booty. It is.
is just missing the floodplain. And so I'm led to believe that it just doesn't exist. I was speaking to someone from Wizards of the Coast about this issue, and they remembered that in Japanese they actually forgot to print floodplain entirely. But yet I have a Japanese copy of it. So I asked them, how do I have this card that you didn't print? And could the same thing have happened for Spanish? And they said, yeah, I mean, in Japan we had to do a redemption where we printed some extra copies of the missing card, and if you send in some other ones, we'll send you out a floodplain to fix the problem. I asked them, did the same thing happen for Spanish? Did you forget it there? And they honestly didn't remember. They certainly didn't run a redemption program for Spanish. Maybe this is a local jurisdiction laws thing. So my theory at the moment is that Floodplain was just not printed in Spanish Mirage, and no one has any information about this. Please, prove me wrong if you can. I'd love to know whether it exists or not. At the moment, I can't stick with 30,000 land cards in a binder until I know whether to leave a space for it, just like with Arena. But in this case, I run out of information. After Floodplain, it gets a lot more simple. For example, this is Dwarven Hold, and I'm missing a Korean copy. That's just because I haven't asked enough Korean people whether they have that card. This is a card that I believe has been printed, and it's just a matter of tracking it down. And there are small holes like that throughout the rest of the collection. I have most of the cards, I'm just missing a few in various languages. To be honest, mostly Portuguese ones, so if you know anyone in Brazil who's good at tracking cards down, please let me know. Thank you very much for coming on this journey with me. It was an intense 16 years trying to track that card down, and I'm really happy that I did in the end. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
I like how his background for this is some plants and like the least expensive shelf ever. The most basic ass shelf ever and some plants. I mean, it's honestly, it's fine. It's just funny. Yeah, like a fucking IKEA shelf and some greenery, and looks like some kind of game award or something. But it's just, it's in such contrast to so many content creators that have like, the busiest backgrounds ever. You know how much that is in English? Not even $1.50. That's crazy. Not even $2. He put all his stat points into collecting. He was asked about the plants. He does not have a green thumb. Whatever survives gets to stay. That's so funny, dude. That's so funny. Since posting this video, I've been sent a scan of a Spanish price guide magazine from 2000, which lists floodplain as does not exist in Spanish. This is the first solid evidence, apart from its total absence from our world, that it wasn't actually printed. Also, a kind soul has found me a Korean Dwarven Hold, so good progress is being made. Thanks for your help, everyone. Now he's cheating too, because like he's achieving success through these videos. So like he posts like, oh, I'm missing this fucking Portuguese whatever nonsense, and somebody's like, got you, bro, I got you. But yeah, that first video, his most recent one, has some insane normal cards. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, for sure, Tinko, yeah. Because anything that's like truly rare, people will scoop up and try to gouge the fuck out of him on. So he probably doesn't talk about the truly rare ones. People see the video and ask insane prices like the arena dude. Yep. I mean, that's what happened with Wubby and the altar guy, is like people knew that Wubby had the other Lego altar, so they were more comfortable bidding up the whichever one got released recently. So it went for way more than expected. So, and Charlie released a video not too long ago about like, I think Lord of the Ring collector's edition boxes that he like apparently almost single-handedly rose the price of those from like 1,000 to like 12,000 US dollars for a single collector booster box, or I don't know if it was box or case, but supply and demand, kind of. It's like a bastardized supply and demand. I now want to watch the good stuff video. I'm sorry that this has just turned into a random Magic the Gathering stream. I know not everybody's into that, but like, I'm having a good time looking at this dude's insane collection, and we're probably not going to loop around to this again for a while. So, we only watched the last bit of the good stuff. Yeah. The first half is wild. Yeah, let's watch this video.
That I made of this card. Hi, I'm Chris Wilson.
Hi, Chris.
I've been collecting Magic the Gathering cards for 32 years now.
We are
I've
so
done a couple
aware
of videos
that
about
now.
my collection so far. In the first one, I showed some of the rare misprints and test prints that I have acquired over the years. In the second video, I showed some parts of my non-basic land collection, where I'm 33,000
Is this
cards
pretty much
into
all of his
collecting one of
videos
every
on
non-basic
Magic
land
Anger?
printed up until the end of 2021. In every language, every edition, foil, non-foil, basically every unique
Wow,
printing.
that's crazy. He's
After
done
I
such a
posted
good
these
job on
videos,
them.
a few people who know the true extent of my collection asked me why I haven't made a video about the good stuff yet. At first I was somewhat affronted, as I'd like to think that the stuff I've shown so far is the good stuff.
Yeah, it is
But
really
I know
good
what they
stuff.
meant. They meant the old cards. And the reason I haven't done a video on that stuff is I've been really nervous about showing that part of the collection. It's something I've been really private about over the years, and I've been collecting these cards mostly for myself. It kind of reached an embarrassing level, like a really well-organized hoard. But in this video, I'm going to swallow that embarrassment and show you the good stuff.
All
You
right,
might even get to
let's
see a
the
Black
good
Lotus.
stuff, bro.
But first I'm going to tell you a story. So I started
Hey,
playing
Black
Magic back when I was
Lotus. Oh my
11,
God.
and at the time the set that was out in New Zealand was revised. And here are some examples of really iconic cards from that set: Lord of the Pit and Sivan Dragon. These are the kind of things that as an 11-year-old boy you really want to open. They're big flying creatures, they win games.
Yeah.
I also really love Vesuvan Doppelganger. This one can change
Yeah, so like whenever I first got into Magic, it was because of people. I was in Boy Scouts, and there were kids that were playing Magic, and they would bring Magic cards with them on like the camping trips and stuff, because inevitably there would be like periods of time where you're sitting around camp and you have literally nothing to do, apart from enjoy the nature. Well, why not play like a Magic game? So that's the first thing, and I could figure out the exact year, but it was before. I don't know. It was probably just after the year 2000 or around the year 2000. I don't know.
change so that it copies another creature and can change at will. And so if they play a big Sivan Dragon, you can just clone it yourself. And at the time, it was really hard to get cards before revised in New Zealand. Older cards just didn't make it over. Now, there were some bits and pieces. For example, I managed to get a hold of a Merfolk Assassin and Warbarge from the Dark. This was a set, I think the expansion that was out just before revised, pretty hard to get in New Zealand. People had to basically bring cards from the States in order for you to see it. This particular combo, of course, appealed to me as a kid. This Warbarge lets you give a creature Island Walk, ostensibly so that you can attack the opponent without them being able to block. And of course, Merfolk Assassin lets you destroy creatures with Island Walk. So combined together, it lets you destroy any arbitrary creature. And I just love this combo. Also from the
such a
Dark, I
dick
managed to get a
move.
hold of a Leviathan in a similar theme to these big Timmy creatures. This is a giant 10/10 trample with the drawback. And so I really love cards from the Dark, and I managed to get a few as a kid. Going back in time slightly, I tracked down a red mana battery from Legends. This one lets you store up mana for later turns, but there were not very many Legends cards available. These were the things
Dark
of
had some
Legends,
silly
essentially.
cards,
From Antiquities, I managed to track down a single Urza's Power Plant, and to this day, this is my favorite art of that card that has 4 variations.
That is
But
a super
unfortunately,
cool card,
Urza land
actually.
like this only generates additional mana if you have the full set out, the mine, the tower, and the power plant. And so I spent a very long time looking to try to get more of these cards, but I only ever got the one Antiquities card. Now, they eventually
Hi,
printed
Vlogs.
the Urza land again in a reprint set called Chronicles, and I was able to complete my set of them, but the other ones I got just weren't as cool as this original one. Now, the card that I was most excited to have as a kid was this common. This is a card called Twiddle, which is a common
Twiddle.
from Alpha. And Alpha cards were the absolute
Yeah,
oldest
dude.
Magic cards. And this thing, it it was probably only worth cents in the States, but in New Zealand, this thing was really, really hard to get. It's the only alpha card I actually saw for 10 years after that point. No one else had managed to get any, and I found it in a trade binder in a store and managed to buy it. And so I was super
That's
happy.
cool.
And to
That's
show
really
you
cool.
an example of the difference between these revised cards and alpha, it goes through a few other sets. So for example, these are the equivalent cards in Unlimited, which is the main core set before Revised. And you can see some color differences, right? Revised is a bit paler, Unlimited's honestly a bit harder to read. And so a lot of people can't tell the difference at first glance between Revised and Unlimited cards. But experienced players, of course, will understand the progression that leads all the way back to the iconicness of Alpha with its thick black edges and round corners. And this is the kind of thing that triggers something in people's minds, of course.
It does.
Now, eventually as a kid, I managed to get my collection to the point where I was able to acquire a complete set of revised dual lands. And this was, I mean, I'm sure Magic players will understand the importance, but as a kid, this was my pride and joy. And I vividly remember like putting them in hard cases and carrying them around with me at school just to, you know, because I didn't trust them being left at home. I needed to have them with me at all times.
That's insane.
And I was very proud of my revised dual land collection. Now, this isn't the same set of cards. This is some ones that I fished out of my collection today. I eventually traded my revised dual land collection in a really bad deal for the better part of a Merfolk deck a few years later. I did not make good decisions back then.
God, that sentence speaks to me. God, that sentence speaks to me. As a stupid kid, I remember making some horrendous deals. Teo, good to see you. Yeah, Booty, I used to have, I've talked about this before on the channel, but I used to have like a pretty sizable collection, and I was pretty heavily into Magic in like the Urza's Saga, the Urza's block. And I had some like pretty old cards too. Like we're talking tens of thousands of cards. Like I didn't ever really take fantastic care of them. So like it's not like I'd be missing out on a bunch of fucking Gem Mint 10 graded cards or anything. But when I think back to like the sets that I pretty much had fully completed, and some of like really cool old cards that I had, and like I said, I had like 3 cradles. And yeah, I imagine even a beat to shit cradle is still worth quite a bit these days. But yeah, the bulk of my collection I let a friend borrow, and some of it ended up disappearing. But I know for a fact for a while it was left in like a garage. Monka, borrow, yeah. I mean, I just, as a kid, he was just like, yeah, can I look through some of these? There's some cards that I'm interested in. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Take this box full of really cool shit that I wish that I still had. But yeah, I dumb kid doing dumb kid things. So there's like a huge chunk of my collection that just disappeared into, you know, probably being sold off or traded off or whatever, misplaced, however you want to think about it. And man, I wish I still had those cards.
So fast forward 9 years to when I was at university. I literally stumbled upon the Campus Magic the Gathering Club and got back into the game heavily. But now I had the income from my job and can actually buy all the cards I dreamed of as a kid. I spent the next 23 years acquiring collections of old Magic cards whenever a good opportunity arose. My favorite cards were all the ones that were released before Revised, because those are the ones I idolized as a kid and thought I'd never actually be able to own.
Right.
I'll show you what I've collected. I'm going to start with a set before Revised and go back through time from there.
Oh my god.
So this is the Dark, and while it's my favorite set, it's not everyone's. There are only a few good cards in here. Most of the cards are pretty bad. Out of the cards I'm showing you today, many of them are very powerful old cards. Unfortunately, the Dark does not have very many of those powerful ones. Now, you'll notice that there are multiple copies of each card here, and this is because I've collated together many people's collections as I've acquired them over the years.
Yep.
And this set and all of my other ones here are sorted first by color and then by alphabetical within that color. And so this means that if I need a particular card, you know, for example, I'm looking for a copy of Fire and Brimstone for a deck,
How long
but
is
I
it
would
gonna
never
take
do that,
him to just
then
show
I
us
can find my
the
copies here
Dark?
and assess which one I want to run.
Oh,
I've got all of this
my
tracked in a
God.
super spreadsheet that lists, you know, for every old card, how many copies I've got and where they're stored and so on. Now, I mentioned in a previous video that I spent all of 2024 sorting Magic cards. And people thought this was an exaggeration, but no, I did spend the vast majority of that year getting everything perfectly in order and
Oh my
catalogued.
god.
It's not only my OCD, it's also a matter of actually being able to do the collection justice, because when it's just, you know, a facility full of random cards, it is less
What do you mean, a facility?
interesting as a museum than when it is actually a properly sorted, you know, archive of some of the oldest Magic cards. So this next set is Legends. I'll be starting with these blue cards and moving forwards. And this is a gigantic set. It's got like 310 cards in it. And this is way more than most of the other old sets. For example, the Dark only had around 100 unique cards. And there's some power in here. For example, Reset is a really good card that's used in, you know, High Tide and Legacy, for example. A lot of the cards in here are very powerful. But there's also a whole bunch of random unknown stuff. You know, the joke I have with my friends is every day is spoiler season when you're dealing with Legends. Like, what does Sea King's Blessing do? You know, people just don't know half of these cards.
If I heard correctly, he has 33,000 plus. He has to have more than 33,000. He has to have more than 33,000. Let me get straight. If he bought as many of them because he wanted others to have less of them, is that what he said? I didn't pick up on that if that's what he said. Where did he say that? I took it as like he bought people's collections, like if we're thinking about like the same part of the video, I think really what he's after is he wants, like Anger said, he wants really nice copies of each, but and he's buying, like this happened to me a couple times. Like I bought friends' collections when they were like done with the game. So like, it would just be like, yeah, give me $100 and you can just have all of my cards. So, pretty sure 33K is just the number of different Magic cards that exist. Oh, okay. I see. I gotcha. Hi, Weber. How are you?
Cards, mostly because they're just so niche and weird. But, you know, there are quite a lot of powerful,
Yeah, this dude probably
awesome
has
effects that are
hundreds
used
of
on a lot
thousands
of vintage
cards,
and legacy
if I had to
decks.
guess.
Now, I picked up a lot of these cards by getting them from collectors, as I mentioned, and I kind of became the guy in New Zealand where if someone wanted to sell out their Magic cards, they'd have a chat with me to potentially pick them up. And so I had a lot of evenings I'd be going to people's houses, and these are people in their 40s with kids that are just looking to free up a bit of cash by getting rid of their old Magic collection that they were passionate about when they were younger. And so I met some really cool people and had some great conversations, and it's really interesting to see how people's lives have moved on from Magic to other interests, whether it's other card games or whether they've taken up board games with their, you know.
What an interesting little like universe that he existed in that facilitated like this process for him, because I bet he picked up huge value by just being the guy and just having people wanting to offload stuff to him before the price of a lot of these cards went absolutely bonkers.
You know, adult friends and so on.
I would assume easily in
And so,
millions of cards.
I
think
never turned
you're
down an
probably right
opportunity
here.
to go and check someone's collection out, even if I never ended up buying it. Now, of course, when I'm traveling overseas, I got a chance to, you know, often traveling for work, I got a chance to go and meet up with people from other countries and see their cards, and they had significantly more impressive collections. Some of the best vintage cards I've got have been from, you know, a quick sneaky trip to buy some stuff while I was at GDC or, you know, DICE or various other conferences or Path of Exile press tours. After we finished our obligations, I'd often head out and meet up with some locals to see what cards that they were willing to trade or sell. Over time, I also managed to participate in some charity auctions. It was relatively common, I mean, potentially for tax reasons. I'm not sure what the motivation is, but people would often sell their sets as a charity thing. And of course, that means that when I'm buying them for my collection, I get to help the charity as well as helping the hoard of Magic cards that I'm accumulating. So this next set is Antiquities, which is an artifact-themed set that I have quite a soft spot for, partly because it has some really cool lands that I really like. It's not a very large set, it's only around 100 cards, so it's much easier to put together a full set of than something like Legends that just goes on and on forever. And I spoke about how, you know, throughout those years, I was collecting as many Magic cards as I could, but there was a period where I just couldn't afford to collect any more cards. When we were developing the game Path of Exile towards the end of its development, prior to its initial release, money was very tight, and we had to prioritize being able to make payroll, and so I had to dramatically slow down the acquisition of new cards to finish sets. And also, in some cases, I actually sold some of my Power 9 cards in order to fund the company because we were running that low on money.
Yeah,
I
bet he's
in
bought back
2012,
those now.
once we were able to monetize the game, things were okay, and I was able to resume collecting Magic cards. But there was a period there where I was actually parting with more cards than I was buying in order to be able to keep the funding going. This
believe
land
that.
here, Mishra's Factory, in the winter edition, is one of my favorite lands. I just think it looks really cool, and this is a staple in old school. You know, a lot of
That is
modern
really
old school
cool.
decks have 4 copies of this, and so it's really nice to be able to break out, you know, winter factories for that. And of course, Mishra's Workshop is a very famous artifact accelerant that's used in a lot of decks as well. Strip mine has 4 different images. You see there are differences between these, and so you get to choose what you want your strip mines to look like if you're
just
playing
my
with that in
pile
your
of
deck.
strip mines,
Though
don't
it is a
worry
card
about
that's
it.
generally restricted to
What?
just
I
one
couldn't
copy.
fit all of my strip mines into
And then of course, the
one
Urza land
pile?
that I showed before, you know, you can, there's quite a lot of these in this collection now because there are 12 different types due to all of the different art that they use. So this next set is Arabian Nights. As you can see, we've got Aladdin's Lamp and Aladdin's Ring and so on. And this is actually Magic the
I think
Gathering's
it's
oldest
old school,
expansion. It's a
not
100-card set
pre-modern
that
that
came
allows
just
gold
after
border
Unlimited
cards.
and was the
That's
first of the
still so-
expansions released. It was one that was meant to have a different
really,
card
it
back, but
grinds
at the
my
last
gears
minute they
that those are
decided to
legal in
standardize it
any
on the one that was
format. It
used in
really
Alpha and
does.
Beta and so on.
Those were
Now,
supposed
people
to
often ask me
be,
how I store my cards,
you know, we're not gonna
and
print
at
those
face value,
again.
the answer
They're
is
not
in a whole lot of
legal,
long
blah, blah,
boxes.
blah, blah,
Basically,
blah.
I have hundreds and hundreds of these just full of cards
That's
which are
even more funky.
identified
They
by
don't let you play
specific
with
numbers, so I
reprints. That's
understand
so
where each one is and what's in it, and have a list of the contents for
Okay.
easily finding stuff.
Okay.
I've also got a bunch of folders that I use for showing completed sets, which is quite nice. That takes up a lot more room. And these are stored at a facility that I have developed off-site, which is, you know, a safe place to store cards. No one
God, I
knows where it
wanna
is.
see
The
that.
stuff is,
I
you know,
really
safe from
wanna see
fire,
a more
safe from
zoomed out
theft. It's
or
insured.
view
It's
of his
a
collection.
nice place to go and chill with my cards. Unfortunately, it's a bit lonely because I don't want it's insured or card. A facility completed have a list of cards which answer is in a whole lot of long boxes. Basically, I have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of these just full of cards which are identified by specific numbers, so I understand where each one is and what's in it, and have a list of the contents for easily finding stuff. I've also got a bunch of folders that I use for showing completed sets, which is quite nice. That takes up a lot more room. And these are stored at a facility that I have developed off-site, which is, you know, a safe place to store cards. No one knows where it is. The stuff is, you know, safe from fire, safe from theft. It's insured. It's a nice place to go and chill with my cards. Unfortunately, it's a bit...
Is he still living in New Zealand? He probably has a bunker next to Zuckerberg's bunker. You know that part of New Zealand that's just like where all the billionaires hide, or they have all of their like doomsday bunkers? This dude probably just has his magic bunker in the side of a New Zealand mountain somewhere. That's so insane. It's so insane.
It's a bit lonely because I don't want people to know where it is, so it means when I go there to sort stuff, I've kind of got to do it alone with an audiobook. But, you know, overall, it's quite a fun visit to make every now and then.
You could listen. You can blindfold me, and I will. You could blindfold me and put like and deafen me. Put like earmuffs on me. You can sensory deprive me, and take me to your magic bunker, and I won't tell anybody. If this clip somehow ever makes it back to you, I am so down to visit your magic bunker and be restrained and not understand where I'm at. It just imagine what that must look like, dude. It's gotta be insane. It's gotta be insane. Watch it just be like a shed in his fucking backyard.
Now, Arabian Nights has some of the most powerful lands in the game. For example, this is Bazaar of Baghdad, which has a ridiculous effect of when you tap it, you get to draw 2 cards, which is insane, and then discard 3, which can also be
watched Webby
insane
pull one of
if
these
you have a
live.
good
It was
reason
really
to
cool.
discard cards.
Oh, well, you know,
And
here's
so,
my collection of
City of Brass
30
is,
of them.
still used in many decks these days. It's a great way of getting any color of mana. Desert is an interesting one because it has 2 variations. There's the regular desert,
Arabian
and there's
Nights is a
also
really
what's
cool
called
set.
the Mirage variation. I wonder if I can find one here. Maybe it's in the next pile. So the Mirage variation has a white dot visible in the art, which is basically, it's basically a dot on the print sheet that makes it distinct, but people call it the Mirage because it's something off in the distance of the desert. And
Right,
so I have both
no,
versions distinct here. In fact, yeah, you can see
think
it there.
you're
There's the
right,
Mirage dot.
I'm glad that I
And these
got
ones
into it
that are
enough
towards
to be
the back.
nostalgic about
and
it.
now
but,
every
like,
card in Arabian Nights, of course, is on the sheet multiple
I'm
times.
glad
This
that
just
I
happens to
don't
have distinguishing
subject
marks so you
myself to
can see
attempting to
exactly
collect
which one
these
it
days,
is.
genuinely.
Now, one of my favorite lands from
Like,
Arabian Nights is Diamond Valley.
I'll
I just love the
absolutely
art.
love
And
this.
You know, there's
And
a
living
collector out there
vicariously
who
through
has the
friends having cool
BGS
collections,
Black Label
but,
10 Diamond Valley, and
holy man.
it just taunts me because, you know, I can't afford to buy it from him. I just don't want to spend the money, but it's just there, and I don't have it. And that's the nice thing about collecting. You know, there's cards that are your goal, and you want to have them, and sometimes you just don't, and it's aspirational stuff. There are also some wacky lands in Arabian Nights. You know, Island of Wok Wok, for example. It makes a flying creature have no power. It's probably never been legitimately used in a deck. There are very strong ones, like Library of Alexandria, probably the most powerful land ever printed, potentially. Randomly, they decided to include a single basic land, so Mountain is part of Arabian Nights, and so that's a great way of pimping out decks. If
So many
if you
libraries,
need to use a
yeah.
Mountain, if you're playing mono red, for example, you know, it's possible to play this Mountain rather than one from another set. And embarrassingly, it appears I've accumulated a few of those over the years. And then finally, Oasis, which is low-key one of my favorite pieces of art on a Magic card.
You have an Arabian
So this next set
Mountain
going
and,
back
like,
in
Commander
time
deck?
is
Hell yeah. How much
Unlimited,
do
which
those
is
go for?
similar to Alpha
Probably
and
not all
Beta, but
that
has a
much.
white border and was meant to be significantly more available, and hence Unlimited cards are pretty cheap compared to Alpha and Beta ones, though of course they're still moderately hard to track down overall. Now, people often ask me what the
More than a
weirdest
Beta
Magic
Mountain?
card story I
That's-
have is,
that's
and
wild.
so I have a story for you. So basically, I was planning to head to MagicCon Vegas a number of years ago, and because I was coming from New Zealand, I needed to bring some US dollars with me to buy cards. And they have a limit where if you travel with more than $10,000 between countries, you need to declare it to customs as you do so, because they want to, you know, check for money
Heavy
laundering
play
and
Arabian Mountain is
drug trafficking or whatever it is.
$230.
They need to check, you know, to make sure people aren't transporting too much money they don't know about. Now, it's no problem to bring the money. You just have to absolutely declare it. So I filled out the New Zealand paperwork and the American paperwork. And when I got to the New Zealand Customs, I said, hey, I've got a bunch of money in my bag, let's talk about it. And I handed them the paperwork, and they interrogated me. They wanted to know what houses I owned, they wanted to know how long I had them, they looked them up in the database and had problems with my name not being right on one of them or whatever.
fucking money
They
was it?
interrogated me about my company, they wanted to see proof of a whole bunch of stuff, proof of income, they wanted to see my bank account. I had a full vetting to make sure that I wasn't up to no good.
Alpha's 40
And eventually they
bucks.
said, okay, cool, well, thank you for doing the paperwork. It's good that you declared this. Get on your flight. So I get on the flight, and at no
Makes me
point did they
wanna
want
go
to see the
check all
cash.
of my
And
mountains
so
at
I
home.
get off in America. Now, I was apprehensive because this is a foreign country. You know, the customs officers have guns. Like I was pretty apprehensive about doing the same process
America,
there.
they
Like,
were
what
just
if the
like-
interrogation was worse?
Go on.
Thankfully, America was
outta
great.
here.
I got off the plane, I queued up, and I said, hey, I've got one of these FinSec forms. I need to declare, the amount of money I've got. It's over $10,000. So they took me into a small room, and an agent came in, and he was a pretty intimidating dude, like, in terms of his posture and that kind of stuff. And he told me to sit there and wait, and asked me why I was transporting cash into the United States, and I explained it, and he passively listened to my story, almost as though he didn't necessarily acknowledge that he understood about trading cards. He just listened to it, and he went to his computer and typed for a long time. And I was getting very worried at this stage. What was he doing? Why did it take so long? Couldn't he just tell me it was okay? And so after a while, the printer that was on his desk spurred into action, and papers came out, and he picked them up and looked at them and brought them over to me and said, hey, look, while you're in town, if you're staying in LA for long, you should go to this card shop here. I printed out a map for you. It's my favorite card shop, and it has baseball cards, which is
incredible.
what I collect, but they might have Magic the Gathering, so best of luck with everything. And sent me on my way, and I thought that was really sweet. So that's my weird story of, getting freaked out during US Customs, but it all had a happy ending in the end.
W that guy. Yeah.
So one thing you're going to notice if you've been paying attention is the condition of these cards isn't great. If you look on the side of these unlimited ones,
Yeah,
there's
nobody
quite
was
a lot
taking
that have
good
seen a
care
bunch
of
of
them back
wear.
then, dude. They were playing
And you
with
may be
them.
wondering where the cleaner cards are. And this is because I've been misrepresenting this. I've been going through these sets saying, hey, look at these old cards that I've got. But these are the surplus ones. The actual cards I've been working on collecting, I've been putting in folders like this. So this is the folded set of the dark. Obviously it takes multiple folders, but we're looking at blue here.
my
And I've basically been
God.
assembling, for the dark, 24 copies of as close as possible to near mint as I can get. So the goal with these cards is to be pack fresh. And that means when I'm buying collections from people, I try very hard to get.
So that means in addition to everything that we've seen so far, he likely has 24 of each card that we've seen in as close to near mint as he can possibly get. That's unhinged. That's so insane.
to get ones that are as clean as possible and to filter those cards out into these folders. And that sometimes means I have to upgrade them. Like there might be a card in here with a little bit of damage on it. I think these ones are pretty clean. But as I get new cards, I basically swap them in and try to get these sets here to be as clean as absolutely possible.
24 complete sets.
And the 24 sets applies to all of the old expansions. So for example, for
my
Legends,
God.
this is the land section here, and I have 24 copies of all of the lands and Legends in as clean condition as possible. So going back to Antiquities, this is the artifact section of it, and this is another expansion I've managed to get 24 really clean sets of. And it's hard to find these cards in this condition, especially something like Candelabra that was recently banned in Legacy in the last week or so. This card is normally heavily played and gets quite a lot of wear on the corners, and so I've been just upgrading this. When I started with my 24 copies, they were completely wrecked, and over time I've been getting perfect ones as I happen to acquire them in collections and combining them into
Chad,
here.
do you understand
the
how
cards
well
I was
Path
showing
of
you
Exile
before
did, right?
were the surplus ones, and that's why the condition was it varied quite a lot, because in some cases if a card wasn't played much, like for example Coral Helm, right, like maybe not that many people ever use the card and so most of the copies are clean, but certain things have received a lot of play and then it's really hard to find ones that are in good condition. Feldon's Cane, for example, is not a great card, but it was played a fair amount, and so they generally have quite a bit of wear on them. Arabian Nights is an interesting one. As I mentioned with the desert, there are often two print variations. So if we look at Army of Allah here, for example, you see how the one has kind of a white background behind it.
Oh, this is one of the
version here
cards
has a
that
much
they
darker background, so there's two different copies of it that are distinct. And that means when you're collecting the set, you want to make sure to get both copies. And a
wiped from
surprisingly
existence.
large number of cards in this set are actually like that, where there are two variations. Here's another one. For example, Moorish Cavalry has a light and a dark version. And I really love
Sure,
going
get
through this set
24
because the
each.
art is just so reminiscent of early Magic art. And so you get to see, you know, so many copies of something as iconic as this. And, you know, Charizard is such a famous, like I'm sure Rudy from Alpha Investments would
14
appreciate this,
cards
but
in the
Charizard is
set
such an
were,
iconically
like,
old, cool Magic
removed
card.
from
Like this
existence.
particular one. You know, wall of
wild.
text here, but it basically says you play a sub-game of Magic using what's left of your decks. And like you can do Charizards inside Charizards, and it's just a really cool card, and it just makes me feel so happy to go through sets like this and just appreciate the cool old stuff they printed, in my opinion, back when the game was even better than it is today. Of course, that opinion's going to vary. With a set like Unlimited, it would be silly to try to find 24 copies of something like Ancestral Recall, and so I've limited myself to just 12 copies of each of the cards in this set.
Oh yeah, that would be silly. So just 12. Just 12, no big deal.
It was remarkably hard to find 12 clean copies because a lot of cards came from smoking households, for example, where there's like yellow around the corners and so on. And so these white bordered cards are very, very easy to show wear on compared to some of the black bordered ones in other expansions. The same principle applies to beta, where I'm limiting myself to 4 clean sets in the folder, and because the pages hold 12 cards, it lets you lay them out quite cleanly like this. Now I do have at least one more complete set of beta if I were to assemble my loose cards together, but because these are the best copies, that 5th set would not be in as good condition, and I like the idea of the cards in these folders being really clean. Like it just makes it really
Starfall
nice to
doesn't
flick
list
through
the Mirage
this piece of
Desert,
Magic
that's
history and just
crazy.
see like copies of the cards as though they came straight out of booster packs.
Oh, yeah, only 4x for, yeah, just, you know, 4x of each near mint card for beta.
So you may
no
be
big deal.
wondering, if I went with 24 folded sets for the expansions, 12 for Unlimited and 4 for Beta, how many folded sets did I go for Alpha? And the answer is 12. I've been collecting Alpha for as long as I can, ever since I was a kid. Whenever I see an opportunity to add cards to the collection, I get them. And
That makes
I
sense.
realized that with a lot of work, I'd be able to reach 12 near mint sets. And we're not quite there yet. Like, a lot of these cards have tiny little dots of wear, right? There's a small amount here. That illusionary mask has to be replaced at some stage. And there's a few other cards in here that are like that. But I'm working on it.
I mean, frankly, it's embarrassing that card's even in the folder. Honestly, with that dot there, that's. I mean, look at it. You can't not see it. It's a sad state, honestly. Take that shit out right now. Best I could do is 350.
Illusionary mask has to be replaced at some stage. And there's a few other cards in here that are like that. But I'm working on it. You know, every time I go to a Magic event, I scour the Alpha looking for stuff that's really clean. Now, of course, it's tricky because most of the good Alpha cards are graded these days. And so in order to purchase graded cards to crack, you end up paying a premium if they're...
How much a poor condition mask is? I don't know. It's $1,200. Unfortunate page of Mox's. I can't believe he would show us these. It's gross. Now only 400? Only 400. Okay.
If they're quite highly graded. And so there's a sweet spot around an 8.5 to 9 where the card has really good folder appeal. It looks very clean, but it's not vastly more expensive than a raw card would be. So I'll give you an example. This is an Alpha Mox Pearl that I bought, which is a 9. And I bought this one at a price where I'm comfortable
Near
cracking
mint,
it to put in the collection.
1K,
Now,
only graded an 8.
these slabs are designed to be tamper-proof, right? The intention is that if you open it, you know, they're going to know that the card's been tampered with. And I'm going to show you how we open one of these in an efficient way. I've done so many thousands of these that I've got very used to it. Essentially, you get your
My
pliers
God.
and you break off the side of the slab like that. Then you take a flat-nosed screwdriver and you put it in here under where
Do you see how close? Do you see how close he was to this breaking over the card? I think at this level, collecting them becomes kind of meaningless. Nah, you've just moved to it's a different level, man. Because it's just he's working to complete his vault. He's not okay, you can argue like how much of the soul has been lost in collecting like this, and I get what you're saying, and there's a part of me that agrees with you, Polka Dog, but like he is just focused on completing the metrics that he's set out for himself, and it's like he's still clearly very passionate about it, for sure. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to put this in his binder, because one of the cards that he has in his binder isn't, it's got a slight scuff on it, so this one needs to take its place. At least Jay Leno drives his cars. I would argue that this dude looks at his cards / plays with some of them. You know, like obviously he can't play with all of them, but you know, there is something that's really cool, I think, about doing something like this, because he's actually preserving and archiving them. And I think he's probably the type of person that understands that one day, you know, he will sell these off, and there will be a whole new, generation of collector that is going to appreciate these cards, and he's going to, like, I don't know, it is a wild thing. It is a wild thing. Fluffy, hello. It is good to see you. I'm not shitting on his collection. It's impressive. Oh yeah, I don't think you're shitting on him, but like, you know, you have perfected the React channel skill of pausing before the moment, before the Monka part. Yeah. Last week, Andrea, I'm not gonna pronounce that, posted a video of him playing with his Power 9. Yeah, there are absolutely people that play with some of these cards. It's just like, it's not even physically possible to have a deck that uses all 12 of your Black Lotuses. You know? Well, I say all 12. All 12 of your near mint Black Lotuses. Dude snapped a Lotus on the table. That's so unhinged.
to where the label is and pop it open. At that point, you can take the card out, which is in a little internal sleeve, and you can use a box cutter. This is where you have to be careful, because you don't want to box cutter your card.
Oh, yeah,
live
this is where
on
you
a
have to
YouTube
be
video
careful.
that you can only
Thanks for
record
that.
with one recording.
Great.
So you pop it out very carefully, because this is a card that hasn't been touched by humans.
Bro, there was less than a fucking hair width between that knife and that card.
So
What
you
are
pop
you
it out
talking about? You have to be
very
careful.
carefully, because this is a card that hasn't been touched by. So you pop it, record with one recording.
Bro, fuck right off with this is the part that you have to be careful in. I want to know how many of these he's accidentally fucked up. Like, oh, I gotta order another Power 9. No big deal. I guess this one goes into the reject pile because I got a small nick on it. Plenty of space between there. I would be shitting my pants. I would be audibly making noise and distracting this man if I was in the room while he was doing this. Like, God.
Great. So you pop it out very carefully because this is a card that hasn't been touched by humans for a while. That then goes in a sleeve and goes in the folder, replacing one of them. And that card is beautiful. That's just as it came out of a pack. Now we have more of these.
So unhinged. What the fuck?
Same thing applies. Bit of force there. Bit of pressure here. Now I have mutilated a card one time doing this out of the thousands that I've opened, and I'll pop up a picture on the screen of what happened with that one. There's a funny
What did we learn? Apparently nothing.
funny story there where I took the photo, I sent it to a friend. He posted it on Facebook to some Magic friends of his, to show the mess that I made of this card. And the comment that someone made was, "That guy must be good in bed," which I laughed at and then felt sad about because I destroyed my card.
Oh my God.
So there is one card that would be practically too difficult to try to upgrade, and that's Black Lotus, Magic's most iconic card. I was able to track down these 12 raw alpha copies back in the day for the folder, but to upgrade them now would involve paying modern prices and cracking slabs, and I do have a couple of really nice slabbed Lotuses. I graded one of these myself, but I'm going to leave them in the slabs. I just can't justify cracking this in order to slightly upgrade one of the copies in the folder.
We saw this earlier, but like now I'm really truly appreciating how unhinged this is. And like some of these that he has in this binder look like they are in really nice shape. It is actually just unhinged. Oh my God.
Like other sets, I also have a bunch of loose alpha cards. These are ones that have previously been in the folders and part of the 12 sets, but have been kicked out as I've gradually upgraded stuff. You can see there's a lot of damage on these moxes, which is why they're not folded, because they're nowhere near mint. I gradually and upgraded them to cleaner copies. And I really love going through this box of loose alpha. It just reminds me of the old days of Magic. And bear in mind, in the first 10 years that I played the game, I saw a single common, and that was the extent of alpha. And so getting to go through this now it just brings back such strong feelings of my childhood and so much connection to the individual cards.
Strong feelings?
Like, I remember playing Wooden Sphere in a green deck, and then here we have the original alpha version, multiple copies of it, and you know how I feel about lands. And so having just raw alpha dual lands that I can go through like this is just, maybe I'm weird, but it's a very special thing for me. It makes me very happy.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. Truly. Truly happy for you.
Another aspect of my alpha collection is cards that are signed by their original artist, and I've completed a set of these, and now I'm working my way through my second set. I'm a handful of cards short. They're relatively difficult ones. It's not that.
I'm sorry. I had tabbed out to try to find a raid target, but let me rewind that again real quick.
It's a very special thing for me. It makes me very happy. Another aspect of my alpha collection is cards that are signed by their original artist, and I've completed a set of these, and now I'm working my way through my second set. I'm a handful of cards short. They're relatively difficult ones. It's not that easy to find an alpha signed Black Lotus these days for a reasonable price.
I've completed a set of signed.
But this is something that I quite like.
Cards.
I normally don't collect signed cards. I normally see them as like modified or damaged cards. But Alpha is special because this is the original history of the game. These are cards that dictated the future of what was going to happen and set it in motion. If Alpha was bad, the rest of the game would never exist.
Too?
But thankfully, Alpha captured a generation of people.
Are the nice signed ones in a binder as well?
And I feel that finding cards that are signed by the original artist is an homage to the work that they put in making such a cool set. Thanks very much for checking out my cards with me. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and consider subscribing. I've got a few other cool cards I'd like to show you in the future. Well, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.
Oh my God, that was so insane. That was so insane. That's why we should tax the rich more. I think New Zealand, they get taxed like quite a bit already. So, I mean, that's That's just how much money Path of Exile made this man. I mean, it's God. That is. Whew. And he looks like a thumb. I'll take, bro. Give me millions and millions of dollars. I'll happily look like a thumb. Fuck it. I could care less that I look like a thumb. Okay, this is the snap that Tinko grabbed for us.
And pass. Okay, draw.
Then that force wheel was a little bit sad.
Of course it is. If you want to draw, you have to have force of will, and you have to have Black Lotus. I shouldn't. It's okay. And then with it, I'm gonna sacrifice it. Get 3.
Dude, the immediate regret. He realized what he did, and he was just like, oh. Also, there's 100% like a meme opportunity here. Like if you were to like edit out the Black Lotus and put like a VTuber or something into where this guy's hands is, where he flicks it down, I feel like there's absolutely you could make a really funny edit with that. It would be really hard, I feel, but
Okay, resolves. And pass. Okay, draw.
Then that force wheel was a little bit sad.
Of course it is. If you want to draw, you have to have force of will,
You got
and you have to
fusion?
have Black Lotus. I shouldn't. It's okay. And then with it, I'm gonna sacrifice.
oh my god. Chop chop. Bro, it would take me years to figure out how to do that. He'll be commenting at Poppergeddon this weekend. Gato. Want to go to Poppergeddon? Want to go to Italy? You would legit be good at fusion after that. I do not doubt that at all. Do not doubt that at all.
Sacrifice Black Lotus. I shouldn't. It's okay. And
That force
I wanna
wheel
see his
was a
face.
little bit sad.
of course it is. If you want to draw, you have to have force of will, and you have to have Black Lotus. I shouldn't. It's okay. And then with
What?
say get 3 blue and play Ancestral Recall.
In the blue
Eyes are doing the
token.
full
I need the
analysis
blue mana
on the
token,
card
of course. You can
condition.
buy them
Yeah,
on Card
only
Trader.
slight-
There's a link in the
slight regret.
description.
All right,
A
chat, it's
Ancestral Recall
10
said,
o'clock. This has been a really entertaining rabbit hole, but I am hungry, and I think it is time to... I actually streamed for an hour longer than I had kind of planned on, so... thank y'all for hanging out with me. I hope y'all enjoyed this rabbit hole that we fell down today, but let me find somebody. Any raid suggestions while I
says,
let this play?
draw 3 cards.
No,
Let's see.
it's different. Target player draws 3 cards.
That's true.
Do I draw 3?
You don't.
No.
I draw 3 cards. So all I needed in this matchup was to draw, as I said, my powerful. Yeah, this is. I did what I had to do. Although I didn't draw Wasteland yet. Tommy, let me see
Series
what you
Live?
have there. I'll play Gitaxian Probe.
You have a very, very beautiful hand
Of
Kuro,
of
Tiwi.
ancient
Two lands?
two
It's been a
lands
minute
and
since
mana
I've
ball.
rated.
Mana ball.
A lot of
Okay.
mana. But I also say
Seriously?
I can find some powerful.
It's been a minute since I've rated Kuro as well.
I was looking for a Wasteland, but instead I find a Time Wall.
It's almost the same as a wasteland.
Okay, and then I play a land. And, here I have a good decision here. I can play Vexing Bubble, but I think I want to guarantee that I cast a Psychic Frog next turn, maybe. So I'll cycle Lure Revealed and get Underground Sea. I'll get Underground Sea, and then I pass the turn to myself because I played the...
Mengu series,
Draw for turn.
casually playing 3 pieces of power in a single
Still no
turn.
Wasteland.
As you do.
Now I have a decision. So I know your hand is bad. I could hold up mana, or I can go 2 mana this one to look for a force, but I think I just need to push the advantage.
Classic
I don't know
vintage.
what experienced Blue
Yeah,
Lures
I'll
player
take
would
you
do in this
over
spot. But
to
what I'm
Tiwi, why
doing
not?
is playing Psychic Frog and pass.
Okay, untap my land, draw a card.
All right, chat. Thank you for hanging out with me. Y'all have a good rest of your day, night, whatever time it is for you. Let me do train. There we go. I'm gonna enjoy some noms and oh damn. Okay. Raiding out with 40. I will happily take that. But yeah, by Polka Dog, Tinko, Barini, Ploffy, Booty, Spyro, Blue Roses, Fuzzy. See you soon. Okay, Gato. I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to come downstairs after you beat me with a flip flop earlier. Wednesday, Tinko. Hopefully you're gonna be able to be here. Will for real around 9 p.m. Local to me, so whatever time zone I'm in currently. We will be starting to catch up on some jet lag. Maybe I'll do a little bit of drinking. We'll have a good time with it. I'll try to make it more than literally just watching jet lag. But yeah, so see you guys on Wednesday. Grab a raid message. Let's see some bees in Tiwi's chat. And bye-bye. Mwah. Mwah.